Good afternoon. Welcome to the September the 6th, 2016 convening of the Baltimore City Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals. A couple of house rules before we get underway. First, if you have a cell phone, a pager, anything that generates any kind of audible electronic noise, anything that plays a ringtone, a chime, etc. We ask that at a minimum you please turn those devices to a vibrate only, if not off position. Additionally, to the extent that you need to speak with someone, we ask that you take that conversation out the double doors to your rear. The reason for those rules is pretty simple and straightforward. First, there are a number of microphones which are arrayed around us up here, and those microphones are all very sensitive. They're not only for the purpose of amplification, but they're also for the purpose of recording these proceedings. Cell phones, pagers, conversations, and the like, besides generally being disruptive to the conduct of these proceedings, also interrupt and interfere with that process as well. Additionally, those of you who are forward of the wall above you, you turn around and look, you'll see 1, 2, 3 video cameras that are mounted on the wall behind you there, and 1, 2 video cameras which are mounted on the wall up here behind us. And those cameras are videotaping these proceedings for broadcast on the city's cable access network, and also broadcast on the city's YouTube channel, and I think are being streamed live now. Cell phones, pagers, conversations also are disruptive of that process as well. So we ask that you please just cooperate and have those devices turned off or to a vibrate only position. Next, we'll be voting at the end of the day, and you're certainly more than welcome to hang around and enjoy a civics lesson if you so choose. But those of you who have other things to do on this relatively splendid late summer afternoon, that's quite understandable, and you can call into the zoning board office in the morning and find out how we ruled on your case. Take out pen and paper. I'll read off the number for the zoning board office a couple of times. That number is 410-396-4301. Again, that number is 410-396-4301. You will, however, need to wait about 3 to 4 weeks before you receive the written outcome of your case, before you'll be able to pull your permits. Well, we certainly ask that you please not build in the city of Baltimore without first obtaining all of your proper permits. Next, if you haven't already done so already, if you are here in opposition to any case today, we ask that you please sign in on our signing sheet, which is being held up there by Mr. French. Signing sheet, besides generally allowing us to know which cases have opposition, also allows us to know who needs to receive those aforementioned written notices I just was talking about. So if you are here in opposition to any case, please let us know who you are and how we can contact you. Additionally, we have some matters which won't be heard today because they're being postponed, and if we don't know who you are and how to contact you, we won't be able to tell you when the case will be going forward. So please just make sure that you've signed in on the signing sheet if you are here in opposition to any case today. The procedure for when the cases are called is that if you're the appellant, you'll come forward. You will stand to our left or your right. The opposition, if any, will stand to our right or your left. Once everyone's up here, we'll get you all sworn in, and we'll first begin with the applicant. He'll be given the opportunity to tell the board about what it is that they are proposing, answer any questions that the board may have, present any documents, testimony, etc. that they would like to offer in support of their position. Once they have concluded their presentation, we'll then turn to the opposition, who will be given the opportunity to present their side of things, their witnesses, documents, etc. Once the opposition is concluded, we'll go back to the applicant, who will be given the opportunity to respond to any points that are brought up by the opposition. And then finally, the applicant will also be given an opportunity to offer some closing remarks. We won't be going back and forth and necessarily delaying things into the evening and keeping everyone here longer than is necessary. We'll generally be hearing the cases in the order in which they appear on the docket after we first dispense with some preliminary issues. First, as I had mentioned earlier, we do have a case that is being postponed, 2016-270. 124 through 32 East Trenton Street. That case has been postponed. I did note that one person, I think, had signed in opposition to that case. If there are any others who are here in relation to that case, just be aware that the case is being postponed and will not be heard today. Currently, that case is being set to be heard on October the 4th and will not be heard today. Next, we have one case that has a posting issue. 2016-254, 1700 Jackson Street, Nate Prettle. Okay, Mr. Prettle, as we've spoken about off the record, the sign at the premises here was noted to be on the ground. That's not conforming with the code as far as posting the property, so it can't be heard today. It did note that there were one or two people who are signed in opposition, so you can possibly use the intervening period to contact them and see if you can't get something worked out. All right. Next are the cases which are on our consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of cases where the zoning board staff has reviewed these files and the board has determined that we have sufficient information in the records submitted to approve these appeals on a consent basis. We're going to call the consent cases together as a group. So when you hear your case called, just please come forward. The first person will line up right here, and everyone else will line up in a line down the dais behind them. Once everyone's up here, we'll get you all sworn in as a group, and then we'll call each case individually, where you'll be given the opportunity to offer any information you would like to have added to the record at that time. First case on the consent agenda is 2016-259, 1100 through 1134 East Belvedere Avenue, Rihanna Rogers. Next is 2016-260, 32 East Preston Street, Michael Rosenbaum. 2016-261, 908 West Northern Parkway, Hiram Woodward. After that will be 2016-263, 3825 Keswick Road, Andrew Goldman. Next will be 2016-265, 38 South Potomac Street, James Kowaleski. And then 2016-266, 810 South Potomac Street, also James Kowaleski. We'll have 2016-269, 3642 Bancroft Road, Abraham Deutsch. In 2016-275, 526 South Bolden Street, Nate Prettle. And last, 2016-283, 909 South Decker Street, Brian Blackman. Everyone. All right, if you all can raise your right hands and be sworn, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, first case on the consent docket is 2016-259, 1100 through 1134 East Belvedere Avenue, Rihanna Rogers.
Yeah, hi, I'm here for to represent the owner
Okay.
and Rihanna.
And your name, sir?
Will Rouse, R-O-U-S-E.
Okay. And Mr. Rouse, we have this as an application to increase from 285 dwelling units to 286 dwelling units, the additional dwelling to be in the basement of what is known as 5700 The Alameda. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Mr. French, anything for the from the planning department?
Thank you. Martin French for the Baltimore City Planning Department. Planning Department has reviewed this application and has no objection to it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and Mr. Rouse, was there anything further you'd like to offer to supplement the record in this case?
Yeah, so we installed a laundry facility and a fitness facility at this property for moderate income families, and this apartment would help pay for that installation.
Okay. Anything further?
That's it.
Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we determined there was sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Take care. Next, 2016-260, 32 East Preston Street, Michael Rosenbaum.
Hello, my name is Charles Belfour. I'm the architect representing the owner.
Good afternoon and welcome, Mr. Belfour. We have this as an application to use as 2 dwelling units. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. French, is there anything for the planning department?
Thank you, yes. Planning Department reviewed this application, noted that this property is located in the Mount Vernon Historic District. The department therefore recommends that approval of this application be subject to the condition that all exterior changes are completed in accordance with an authorization to proceed issued by the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Belfour, is that condition amenable to your client?
Yes, I've applied to CHAP and
Okay.
received the ATP.
Great. Anything further?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you.
Take care. Next, 2016-261, 908 West Northern Parkway, Hiram Woodward. Afternoon, sir.
I am Hiram Woodward.
And Mr. Woodward, we have this as an application to construct a 7-foot high fence in a portion of the front yard. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mr. French, is there anything from the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Woodward, was there anything you'd like to offer to supplement the record in your case?
We would like to erect a 7-foot fence for noise abatement purposes. We live on an extremely noisy section of West Northern Parkway.
Understandable. Anything further?
I have brought with me a letter in support of our application from the Neighborhood Association and also from the former owner of a property which is on a nearby section of Northern Parkway where a 8-foot woodcrete fence was erected. And so
Do we have those in the record already, David?
I may distribute these, or...
We have
Sir?
the letter from the North Roland Park Association. And we
Okay.
also have a letter from Councilwoman Ricky Spector in support of the request also.
Okay. So, sir, if you wanted to pass up the letter from the neighboring landowner, we can have that added to the record as well.
Okay.
These were- okay. Right, since we're doing this on a consent basis, you can have these back. And incorporate the letter into the file. Anything further?
No.
Okay. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, 2016-265, 38 South Potomac Street, James Kowaleski.
I was on 263.
Sorry. 2016-263, 3825 Keswick Road, Andrew Goldman.
Hi. One thing I just wanted to make clear, this is actually for 3835, so I'm not sure if that's a typo.
Okay. All right, and Mr. Goldman.
Typo.
Okay.
I'm sorry about
No,
that.
no problem.
All right, Mr. Goldman, we have this as an application to construct a first floor rear deck with pergola at this location. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right. And Mr. French, is there anything from the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thanks. And Mr. Goldman, is there anything further you'd like to offer to supplement the record in your case?
No, thank you.
All right. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, 2016-265, 38 South Potomac Street, James Kowaleski.
Yes, sir.
Afternoon, sir. We have this as an application to construct a rooftop deck with pergola at this location. Is that correct?
Well, it's a rear deck.
All right.
It's like a partial roof deck, about 3
I
feet.
was actually reading from your other case.
Yeah.
This one is to construct a first floor rear deck and second floor rear deck with pergola.
Yeah, it's just 1 story in the back. It's a 2nd floor rear
Okay.
deck with a pergola.
Okay, so there is no second floor rear deck?
What is the 2nd floor level? So you would walk out the second floor, that's the back of it.
Okay,
It's only 2 stories from grade, roughly 14 feet from grade
okay,
is the walk area.
okay. So is it a first floor deck and second floor
It's a
rear deck?
It'd be a rear fence and a second floor deck is the way it would be.
Okay. How many fences are there?
There, on the lower floor, on 2 sides, because there's a parking pad, there's gonna be two fences, L.
But I said, how many decks are there?
Just 1 deck,
Okay. Is it on the first floor or the second?
second floor.
Okay. So then, we can change this to construct an application, to construct a second floor rear deck with pergola. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. French, anything with the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Kowaleski, is there anything you'd like to offer to supplement the record in this case?
No, sir.
Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you.
And you had another one here, 2016-266, 810 South Potomac Street. And we have this as an application to construct a 2-story rear and infill additions with rooftop deck at this location. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
All right. Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kowaleski, is there anything further you'd like to offer to supplement the record in this case?
No, sir.
All right. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you very much.
Take
Thank you,
care.
board.
Next, 2016-269, 3642 Bancroft Road.
Yes, hi, how are you?
Afternoon. Are you Mr. Abraham
Abraham
Deutsch?
Deutsch, yes.
All right. Mr. Deutsch, we have this an application to construct a first-floor rear deck with trellis at this location. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. French, is there anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Deutsch, was there anything you'd like to offer to supplement the record in your case?
Just if the board can give the okay for my family, kids to enjoy.
Well, you're on the consent docket, so I would say that the prospects look favorable.
Okay,
Anything further?
that's it. Thank you.
All right. The zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you.
Take care. Good luck. Next, 2016-275, 526 South Bolden Street, Neat Prettle.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Mr. Prettle. We have this as an application to construct a 3-story rear addition with rear and rooftop decks at this location. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And this previously had been on our, this has been on our consent agenda, but there was someone who had previously signed in opposition. Is that you, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. And it's our understanding that you are no longer opposed to this plan?
Yes, as long as we can agree that it's not a 3rd story above what is currently there, so. from my-
That's correct. If I could elaborate,
Sure.
as the application reads, a 3-story rear addition with several decks. Due to the nature of the grade in the property, it's a 2-story property if you were to walk along Bolden Street. It has a walkout basement. So the 3-story addition is actually on the basement and the first 2 stories. And I'm happy to put a condition that says no enclosed space above the existing roof line. There will be the deck, which is okay, Mr. Shingler. So.
Okay, we can add that in.
What's your name? John Shingler, Shingler.
Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has reviewed this application and has no comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Prettle, anything further you'd like to offer to supplement the record in this case?
Just add there's a letter of support from the Canyon Community Association in your file, and that we've spoken to both adjacent neighbors, even though not Mr. Shingler before today. But glad that we were able to come to an agreement.
Thank you. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Great. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you, gentlemen. And finally, 2016-283, 909 South Decker Street, Brian Blackman.
Yes, sir.
Afternoon, sir. You can come on down. All right, Mr. Blackman, we have this as an application to construct a 2-story rear addition and new 3rd floor with rear and rooftop decks at this location. Is that correct?
It is correct.
All right. Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Blackman, was there anything further you would like to offer to supplement the record in your case?
Actually did have a question with regard to the rooftop deck, the construction of the pergola. I wasn't aware that that was necessary to include on the application. Is that something that would be given consideration now, or should I make, you know what, I can scrap the plan. Yeah, get an umbrella, no big deal.
We haven't seen that.
Wise
so-
choice.
Nothing
All right.
further.
Anything further?
No, sir.
Okay, the zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined there was sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good afternoon.
All right, we'll now be turning to the remainder of our docket, which will include cases where opposition has signed in. And frequently we found that opposition is the result of either a lack of communication or miscommunication among the parties. And it can be useful to offer the parties an opportunity to have a dialogue between themselves, as obviously if two opposing sides on an issue approach the board, and want the board to resolve the dispute, one of those two sides is bound to go away disappointed by that result. And so this is your opportunity to avoid that unhappy fate. You certainly aren't obliged to take the opportunity to speak with the other side, but we certainly do encourage and appreciate it. I'm going to call off the cases where opposition is signed in. You can stand just where you are, and we'll ask if the parties have spoken. And if not, if they would like to speak, or even if they have, if they would like to continue to speak, to see if they can get something worked out. If you would like to have a discussion, just step out the double doors to the rear, and we'll just call you in turn. Otherwise, you can just have a seat, and we'll get to you when we get to you. First case where opposition is signed in is 2016-242, 1500 through 02 West Pratt Street. Who's on that case? Okay. And have you folks, sir, are you calling? All right. Have you folks spoken at all?
Yes, Your Honor, we have tried.
Okay. Any prospect of a resolution?
No, sir.
Okay. Have a seat, and we'll call you in turn. Next is 2016-256, 4007 Frederick Avenue, Angel Williams. Okay, and have you folks spoken?
Yes, we have.
Okay, any prospect of a resolution, desire to continue to speak? I'm sorry, sir?
Apologies. I only spoke to the lady that said when we had never seen the records.
Okay.
If you had a chance to speak, that would be fine. If not,
Okay, just step out and you can, we'll call you in turn. Okay.
Keep in mind, Jeff, that we also have 255.
You don't want to talk?
Okay.
255 also has opposition.
Okay. 2016-255, 620 Berry Street.
What's that? No opposition.
Yes, it is.
Oh, here we are. Yeah, oh.
Okay, have you folks spoken before?
a little bit.
Okay, would you like to continue to speak?
I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
We're ready to proceed.
You should speak.
Okay, just
don't think-
remember, this is your, well, we're not calling the case right now. But, okay, have a seat, we'll call you in turn.
Who didn't want to meet? They didn't want to speak.
Yeah.
You don't want to meet?
2016-267, 2011 North Wheeler Street, Bernadine Adams.
Let's see.
Okay, anyone else sign in this case? Okay, just have a seat. 2016-268, 229 through 233 East North Avenue. All right, and have you folks spoken before?
The applicants attended our community association meeting prior to our delivering the letter not in support, but we've not spoken since then.
Okay. Would you like to speak with them? Okay. Just come back in and let us know if you get something worked out. All right, and that was the last one. Okay, our first case is 2016-207, 300 North Gilmore Street. Yuan Zhang Company.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir. Your name?
My name is Jay Yu, and I represent the Yuan Jiang Company and the property owner, Ms. Lin Bao.
Okay.
First of
And
all,
Mr. Yu.
yes,
If you can spell the names of I think you said the landlord is whom?
Bao Lin, spelled B-A-O. Last name is spelled L-I-N.
Okay. And Mr. Yu, we have this as an application to add a grocery store and delicatessen to the existing first floor liquor store. Is that correct?
Yes, I'd like to, if I may, I'd like to amend the application
Okay.
to from continue to use as a liquor store and add additional use to grocery and deli, and change that to accessory use as grocery and deli from the additional use. So it'll
Okay,
be,
so the grocery and delicatessen, you're asking for that to be an accessory
yes,
to the liquor store?
yes, I do have the amended application, if I may submit.
Okay. If all those giving testimony can raise their hands and be sworn, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. And do we have staff reports?
Yes. First, a letter writer writes they are a community advocate, leader, and resident. I am a homeowner and resident across from the establishment for more than 27 years. I am sending this letter of opposition for a permit to add grocery deli to the liquor store requested by the new owners. This area is zoned residential. The zoning for a grocery store and the establishment is currently selling what I consider groceries now needs to be clarified. To have a deli will allow for food preparation. There are far too many carryouts located in this food desert as identified by the Baltimore City Health Department. Furthermore, granting permission for a deli will not improve the quality of life for the people in this community, where death occurs 20 years sooner for people living here, as identified by the City Health Department. Since the current owners acquired and opened the liquor store in our neighborhood, we have been negatively impacted with extensive loitering on Gilmore and Saratoga Street, drinking liquor outdoors, no enforcement of the open container law, card playing with tables and chair seats on Saratoga Street impeding foot traffic, and there is a loss of safety. When the previous owners had the establishment, you could enter the store on Gilmore Street. There was a no loitering sign and a sense of safety. However, the current owner has changed the entry to the 1600 block Saratoga Street with their lighted signage without any no loitering sign. Our community may have been invaded by many people who no longer live in the Franklin Square neighborhood and return with no regard for the people who do continue to live in the neighborhood. The establishment is not zoned for outdoor patronage, and I feel this is a violation of the current zoning classification. A few years ago, when the owner of a similar business down the street in the 1500 block of Saratoga Street wanted to do outdoor patronage, they had to go to the zoning board. These owners and workers just do not care about the quality of life, only making and taking money. Finally, I would like to suggest that the new owners contact the Western District Police to get the no loitering enforced signage around their entire establishment. And when the workers sit outside the business, they need to take their chairs inside so that they do not encourage others to join them. No meal preparation is needed due to poor community health conditions. That is the end of my report. Planning has a report.
Thank you. Planning reviewed this application, noted that this property is in the Franklin Square Urban Renewal area. The urban renewal plan for that area has a provision which states that a non-complying land use, which is the equivalent of a non-conforming use under the zoning code, is not authorized or not allowed to be changed to any other non-complying land use. On that basis, the Department of Planning recommended disapproval of this application for a separate principal use as a grocery store because the Franklin Square Urban Renewal Plan does not allow the proposed additional non-conforming use to be placed at this location if it was to replace part of the existing non-conforming use. Having heard the amendment offered by the applicant, the department would have no objection to that, provided it remains an accessory use to the existing liquor store. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If, if I may.
Yes, Mr.
I do have a revised drawing plan of the premises with the proposed percentage usage of the premises for the grocery and deli and liquor establishment, which shows that the total square footage for the use for the liquor, beer, and wine will be 246 square feet, whereas the other items will be 207 approximately square feet, which is way less than 50%. So it should be an accessory use. And also, I'm pretty sure there is the petition is in the file, but there were numerous patrons who signed signed on behalf of the granting of this request, and it's unfortunate that there is an opposition, and my client would be more than happy to work with the community to improvise whatever there needs changes to be made. But one thing that my client is doing is that there's a church across the street, and she's donating to the church regularly for their food drive project. And if she starts the grocery business, she will have even better opportunity to contribute to that, as she doesn't have to financially. But I mean, she's right now donating cash money. But if she starts the grocery actively, then she should have an opportunity to donate vegetables and fruits. That would be another positive thing. And regarding this opposition, if we could talk with her, my client would be more than happy to improvise whatever objection that she may have.
We do have a copy of the petition in the record, approximately 35 names on it.
Okay. How do you contend with, it's 3106 of the zoning code that says that any uses that are, or any use that is not expressly allowed in a district is prohibited. And then you go to the code, you look at, this is an R8 district. You look at the list of accessory uses in R8 district. It says in an R8 district, the accessory uses and structures are as follows. It says those permissible in R1 district, and then it goes down a list, a very brief list, of accessory uses, which basically this includes accessory shops. It's a shop in a multifamily dwelling. But then when you turn to here we go, 4202, to see what the uses, the available uses are, or accessory uses are in an R1 district. Groceries and delis are not found in that list. So therefore, turning back to 3106, because grocery or deli is not identified as an available accessory use in either an R8 or an R6 or a R1 district, therefore, it would certainly appear that grocery deli would not be an available use for this property in an R8 district.
Well, and this property is in R8, I believe.
Yes.
R8. Okay. if could you repeat which section was it? It was
Sure.
4 dash.
So, I guess starting with 3106. Prohibited uses in general. Any use that is not expressly allowed in a district is prohibited. And you turn to 41102, and that lists the available accessory uses in an R8 district. And number 1 is as in R1 district. And then number 2 are accessory shops in a multiple family building. And that comprises the list of available accessory uses in an R8 district. Then turning to 4202, which lists accessory uses in an R1 district. I can read off all the available accessory uses, but I'll skip doing that and say that I don't see groceries and delis listed there. So I'm asking, how do you address that?
Well, this location is a non-conforming use from get-go. It is non-conforming use for a liquor store. That's how it is permitted. And my inclination is that we are seeking to continue to use the premise as a non-conforming liquor store, non-conforming use liquor store, with an accessory use to sell grocery items and deli items. So what we are requesting is a non-conforming use spin-off from the liquor store, not a complete altogether non-conforming use change to a grocery store or a deli.
Sure, but I was just saying that in order to have an accessory use, even accessory uses have to be permitted. And so you can have an accessory use alongside a non-conforming use, but that accessory use has to be complying. It has to be among the list of available accessory uses in that district. And I was just going through and looking at the various code provisions, and I was saying that, well, if this is going to be a grocery deli, and grocery delis aren't listed as a available accessory use in an R1 or an R8 district, I was asking how you would like us to find in favor of your client's proposed use, given what the provisions of the code are.
Well, sir, I mean,
May I?
Sure.
The listed accessory uses are specific and by right in the R1 and up and further, but also under the definition of accessory use. And that can be applied for any use. Accessory use or accessory structure means a use or structure respectively that serves and customarily is incidental and subordinate to the principal use or structure, is subordinate in area, extent, or purpose to the principal use and structure, and contributes to the comfort, convenience, or necessity of occupants, businesses, or industry in the principal use. So that's what the applicant needs to show in order to, under this, by definition of accessory use, they have to show that it's customarily incidental and subordinate to the principal use. And if they meet the other components of the definition, it can be considered as accessory. Generally, that's a decision for the zoning administrator to make when reviewing. The application came through and it was treated as if they were separate principal uses. And today he's amending it to an accessory use, so the zoning administrator hasn't had a chance to determine whether he would consider it an accessory use, and if he did, it may not even need to come to the board.
But I don't necessarily agree. But
Well, that's the way we've customarily done it. I don't know. I mean, as long as it meets the definition, which may not be something easily, I mean, how do you show that a deli is customarily and then it's incidental to a liquor store?
maybe we can take that up later.
Okay.
I mean, if the applicant has any argument you'd like to present, now's your time to present your argument. Anything later we can deliberate on. But
Briefly, regarding customary and incidental and the comfort of the patrons, the initial reason my clients wanted to put in grocery and deli is to assist the patrons who are shopping, who wanted to shop there for the deli, meat, and the grocery items, and other items that they usually shop. So to give the customers convenience, that's basically the purpose of trying to get this use. So with that, I submit.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, 2016-212, 3432 South Hanover Street, Liam Flynn.
Hello, my name is Liam Flynn.
Afternoon, sir. We have this an application to add outdoor table service into the rear yard and onto the front sidewalk as accessory to the existing restaurant/tavern.
Correct.
All right. Do we have, well, first, if you can raise your right hand and be sworn, please, sir.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. And do we have staff reports?
Yes, Planning Department reviewed this application, noted that this property is a street corner property. The applicant is proposing to place tables along a side of the what should I say? A side of the property. They are proposing also to use a stage for live entertainment, and in this application that the Planning Department had access to, there was not a specificity about the types of live entertainment and their decibel level that would be outdoors in the rear yard area of this property. The Department of Planning recommends approval, if granted, be subject to these conditions, in addition to conditions which the board may establish. For the live entertainment, a copy of the use and occupancy permit for the premises must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. A copy of the written approval of the board for the live entertainment provided on the premises, including details of any restrictions or limitations on live entertainment provided, must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. And a copy of all other permits and licenses required pursuant to the written approval of the board must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. For the outdoor table service, the department recommends these conditions. A minimum of 8 feet of the sidewalk must remain clear and unobstructed for pedestrian use. The capacity of the outdoor seating area along Hanover Street will be not more than 3 tables and 12 patrons. The tables will be limited to those that can seat 4 patrons and are to be kept against the front wall of the building. There will be no outdoor bar in front of the premises. There will be no outdoor music, jukebox, or other form of entertainment in front of the premises. And all patrons must be seated for dining and served by waitstaff. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Flynn, are those conditions offered by the Planning Department acceptable to you?
Yes.
All right. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're proposing here?
We're proposing putting tables out front of the business. It's a high automobile traffic area as far as becoming a thoroughfare in the Brooklyn area. And Brooklyn has had a very tough time economically and with other issues. We're trying to revitalize it. I have a letter from my landlord and neighbor across the street, Michael Furbish, supporting the idea and the proposal. We just hope that we can show that there's a positive progress in the area with having outdoor seating and showing some sort of revitalization of the area. There is potentially more growth in the area. We just want to help get it started. There's the Baybrook Vision Plan, and of course north is the potential Port Covington across the bridges.
Okay. Any questions?
I have, if you want the letter from the landlord, and I believe Pat Wills had contacted some folks on the board. She didn't have time to send a physical letter, but she's with the Neighborhood Association, and we also have the support of the Concerned Citizens for Better Brooklyn. Okay.
Questions?
It's basically the same letter.
All right. Any further? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 2016-242, 1500 through 1502 West Pratt Street. Nassim Bondell. Mr. Bondell?
Good afternoon. My name is Salim Gondel, and he is the actual owner, Mr. Gondel.
Okay. What's your name, sir?
Salim Gondel. It's the same last name. We're
Okay.
brothers.
Okay.
But I'm representing him.
All right. Can you spell your first name?
Salim, S-A-L-E-E-M.
Okay. And that's Bondell, B-O-N-D.
No, G as in George.
Gondel.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I got it wrong. So that's G-O-N-D-E-L.
Yes, sir.
All right. Got that? All right. Sir, we have this an application to use the first floor as a convenience store, second floor as an office for the store, and the third floor as one dwelling unit. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. If all those intending to give testimony can raise their right hands and be sworn, please.
Do you swear, raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir. All right. Do we have staff reports?
Yes, Planning Department reviewed this application, noted that the last use on record for this property was a barber shop and a single-family attached dwelling. The department notes that the request to use the second floor of the property as offices would therefore require an expansion of non-conforming use exceeding 25% of the existing non-conforming use of the first floor of the property, and therefore is beyond the discretionary authority of this board. For that reason, the Department of Planning recommends disapproval of the portion of this application related to use of the entire second floor of the premises as office space, because this would require an expansion of non-conforming use greater than the board's discretionary authority to approve provided in the zoning code. The department has no objection to approval of conversion of the existing non-conforming use of the first floor of the premises to a food store or grocery store or variety store, subject to the condition that all exterior changes, additions, demolition, alterations, and signs are completed in accordance with an authorization to proceed issued by the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation, this property being located in the Union Square Historic District. Thank you.
If I can just go over where the planning department is on this, Mr. French.
Yes.
There's an objection as to the office, I guess the expansion of the office use on the second floor.
To expansion of non-conforming use to include the entire second floor if it's not currently used that way.
Okay.
And recommending, or having no objection to the conversion of the existing non-conforming use on the first floor to the proposed grocery store, et cetera. They use the term convenience store, which does not appear in the code. So we've substituted grocery store, food store, or variety store, or any combination thereof.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then there's also a dwelling unit that's supposed to go along with this, so I presume you've got no objection.
There is, right, there is apparently, the application says to use the third floor as a dwelling unit. We were not able to determine if the existing dwelling unit included the second floor now. So we had to interpolate that there might be dwelling unit use of the second floor currently that was going to be turned into office use. But whatever conversions happen, because this is in Union Square Historic District, all the exterior changes have to be approved by CHAP.
Okay. All right. We had no other staff reports, Mr. Ernie? Okay. All right. Mr. Gonda.
Good afternoon. My name is Salim Gondel. Your Honor, we are requesting change of non-conforming use from previous barber and beauty school to store. It'll be a grocery store, vegetables. We're looking at fruit, grocery ingredients for cooking that neighbors can conveniently grab without leaving their neighborhood. Further, Your Honor, to permit this use, the change of use, it would not be any negatively impact on the community. If anything, it will improve the quality and of the neighborhood. The proposed use is equally appropriate as previous use, and if not, it is more appropriate to use for the neighborhood.
You're speaking right now as to the
store, the first floor.
grocery store.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The office, it is previously used as office, the second floor. The entire floor is actually, the furniture is still existing and everything is still sitting there. It is used as for office. The third floor is one unit dwelling for residential. As far as the first floor, there won't be any traffic generated by this proposed use any greater than it already exists. There won't be any detrimental to the existing customers or character of the development in the immediate neighborhood, or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare of the community.
So what is on the first floor right now?
It was actually a barbershop. It is barbershop and beauty institution.
Okay. So barbershop, beauty salon is on the first floor?
On the first floor, yes, sir. And the second floor, it was an office that they used.
Okay. Well, you keep on using the past tense, so
Actually,
is the barbershop
we just.
still,
I'm sorry.
is the barbershop still in operation?
Not currently.
Okay, all right. Do you know when it was last in operation?
The owner, when we spoke to him, it was last year, toward the end of the last year. We're looking at around August.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. And how about the office on the second floor? I'm guessing there's no use being made of that office space right now?
No, it is actually being used currently.
All right.
The new owner is using it as an office.
Okay, so the building owner is using the second floor as his office?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how much of it is he using?
As far as the floor-wise, or?
The floor plan, like?
Actually, there are two offices on the second floor, but it is the same. One office he's using about 60% of it, and then the rest of is he's using it as a kitchen. Not really residential, but the kitchen was there for the office use only for the employees.
Okay. And then what's on the third floor?
Third floor is dueling. One
Third floor is what?
it's one unit dueling apartment.
Okay.
It's a residential.
Okay. And is there someone living there now?
Not currently.
Do you know when there was last someone living there?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there a...
Mr. Chair, can I respond to what you were just asking?
No. In looking for a floor plan for the second floor? Is that?
I believe it's not included.
Okay.
The last page.
It's not being changed from whatever is. That's why.
Is this the second floor?
That is the first floor.
That's what I thought. Because it looks like...
The only thing the usage wise is being
drawings
changed
are
is
almost
the
the
first
same.
floor.
Yeah, they're the same. They're just two copies of the same thing, that just rotated differently.
Yes, sir. So second and third floor is not being actually changed at all.
Well,
That's concept of office and a residential as an apartment.
well, I guess what your testimony is, as far as the office use, is that there's 60% of it is an office, and then the other 40% is a kitchen.
Kitchen for the employees, so we can consider that as used as well for the office, since it is for the
Building is-
employees only.
Where's the building? Feet?
It's pretty long.
You can speak, sir.
I know exactly because I draw this.
Okay.
And it's 85 feet.
Okay.
It's two portion of it at the first floor. 25 feet is 25 long, 15 wide is storage, and then the very last door towards the alley from the side, and the middle door and the corner at the west part and south striker is going to be the store.
Okay.
And the last door goes to the second floor.
Okay, so as I look at the picture here, it looks like, I think, the first and second floor goes all the way to the edge, what looks to be the property line, and then the third floor goes back maybe halfway?
Yes, sir.
Is that right? Okay. All right, so the office then would cover 2/3 of, or 60% rather, of...
Sir, if I may, the second floor is actually the same. It's built as same as the third floor. So only the first floor is built all the way to the end, to the alley.
Okay.
And second one is just, it's not extended.
Okay. All right, so then
So
the
it
office
ends-
only goes back as far as the third floor,
Yes, sir.
and then what's in the remainder of the space?
It's just a roof.
It's just what?
Roof. So basically, if I may. Actually, I'm looking at the unit next to it. This one is right here. You're right.
Oh, okay, all right. So
And
the
if you
second
keep it
floor does, the interior is built all the way to
Very
the...
last to the alley is the stairs, and then it's a kitchen and bathroom right beside it, the stairs.
Mhm.
And then they used to have a dining table for the employees
Mhm.
to bring their lunch and stuff. And then there is the third floor, and that's where the one office, and then there's another office, and in between these both offices, there is a stairs goes to third floor.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sorry for the inconvenience, I was not sure.
That's okay.
If we need the second or third floor sketch, I could have drawn.
The
it,
second
but
floor
it's-
would have been helpful, but.
Yes, sir, very helpful.
All right.
Sorry.
Anything further now before we turn to your opposition?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Since there are 7 people here, we don't really have an interest in hearing 7 people say the same thing. So if there are certain people who are going to testify to certain issues, you can proffer, that is offer that, so one person would testify, and then you'd say that if called to testify, you know, Mr. Smith and Ms. Doe would say the same thing as Mr. Jackson. And then that way, we don't need to have everyone saying the same thing. But I'll kind of go along with everything. I don't know if, is there one person who's taking the lead here, or?
I'm the neighborhood president.
Okay, why don't you come up to the front of the line then?
My name is Biff Browning, sir. I'm the neighborhood president for Union Square.
Okay.
These gentlemen came and met with us last Monday. The neighborhood voted unanimously not to support the project because, as what I was going to point out a while ago, the building has been vacant since before 2013, when the previous owner passed away. We submitted earlier this year to planning and to the zoning administrator a copy of a Dan Roderick's article talking about the sad state of this historic building where Senator Cardin and many others used to get their haircut, but that it had been vacant. It lost the zoning that it had from non-conforming back to residential. The neighborhood does not support this because 1 block to the east, there is already a convenience store. 2 blocks to the northeast, there is another convenience store. 3 blocks to the west, there is a convenience store. There's no need for another type of building like this. Many of these neighbors are adjacent to the property, both on Stricker and on Pratt, who don't support it because of families they have there, they have kids playing. This is already a fast-moving street. It's gonna cause the intersection to get more dangerous with people trying to stop quickly to pop in and out of the store. It's gonna cause more issues with safety because many of the other convenience stores are problem spots in our neighborhood. And several of them were in the raid that was highlighted in the Baltimore Sun this last week. And we have a strong neighborhood. We've lessened our vacants from 40% to less than 10% in the last 4 years because of working together as a neighborhood to build things that would support our neighborhood. And we do not see this as being something that is going to strengthen our neighborhood. It's going to weaken it. And the simple part is the zoning just does not allow it currently.
Okay. Now, gentlemen, since you're presumably not as familiar with this particular property as the people who live there are, sir, what was your name again?
Biff Brown.
All right. And Mr. Browning's testified that the property has been vacant since 2016. 13 rather. It being 2016, that would be a 3-year period of vacancy. You, I believe, had testified that it had been, that the building owner had told you that the barber shop had been there as recently as 2015. Do you have any other evidence to support the?
If I may, the only thing I would say is it was now vacated in 2013. Is the reason because the furniture and everything, including the material that they used, hair shampoo, machines, everything was fresh when my brother bought it at that point. We actually still have that material in there sitting. And also, he, after speaking with him recently, he did testify that, he did make a statement that he was still using it at that point. And there were some milk, the previous owner.
He hasn't testified
Actually,
when?
it was, not testified. He did make a statement when we called him, try to reconfirm what he said back in while he was selling it was true. And I went over several things, such as there were mail coming in, there was electric still connected, there was other few things that the price tags for the hair barber shop is still there, and it was still being used for haircut.
It was still being used?
Well, not the sign, but the building was being used at that point.
Was there anyone inside cutting hair?
Yes, sir. We can infer that from the material that they were using. It is not just sitting there for a long time. You can tell it has expiration date. It was fresh. It was halfway used. There was. It was just not. It did not look
Talking
like
about
somebody
the
having.
hair care products.
Yes, sir. The hair product.
shampoo
Yes, sir.
And such like that.
Yes, sir. And it still exists.
Also,
Sir?
also when we bought it, they sold us the way it is on the paperwork, like it's recently rezoning and everything is current. As soon I bought it, before I bought it, I came to the permit office. After I bought it, I came to the permit office and they let me apply for it. I got a couple inspections done on this property as for the convenience store. Since I was not familiar with the Baltimore, but I'm very familiar with the Maryland, like Calvert County, I had a gas station. Right now it's a Harley Davidson dealership. I handed over to them. And I did a couple inspections before the building inspector stopped us doing what we're doing. But we do have the proof of that, and I do have the city letter from the permit office that these inspections been done very recently. And still, the proof shows, I pulled out a paperwork last week, is still not vacant or abandoned or anything.
And
At the moment.
if I may, I would like to give you a little bit of background of the building. From the
Before you do that, I wanted to get to some of the other folks who are here from the opposition.
Sure.
All right. Mr. Browning, were there any community members you wanted to offer to testify in support of the opposition?
I think there's, I'd like to say one other thing that, and specifically one can address this. So this is not something new. We reached out to them last year when they purchased the building to say, please come with the community, because we did not want to see him spend his money needlessly, and we knew already this building was not zoned correctly for this use. When it had been for sale, we also were concerned about it. They were selling it as commercial property when we knew the zoning had transferred because of being vacant for this time period. After many invitations by myself, by Mr. Rodenberg, who is our CHAP representative in the neighborhood, and several other neighbors adjacent, they only this past month came to our meeting when they knew this hearing was coming up. Every time we would ask them before, they would say, not at this time, we're not ready. And they proceeded with work when we were trying to save them from investing dollars in something that we knew was no longer zoned for this purpose. So part of the problem has been a willingness not to come and communicate with the neighborhood or to work with the neighborhood to stop an imminent mistake from happening. And without saying, there's several that would probably speak, but I think Mr. Rodenberg specifically should speak because he's had a lot of contact with them as our historic designee.
Okay.
Afternoon.
Afternoon, sir. Your name is?
Daniel Rodenberg, CHAP represented the ARC for Union Square Historic District.
Can you spell that last name, sir?
Rodenburg.
Okay.
Just to clarify, the beauty parlor, it was really a beauty academy. Simon Avar actually created in the 1970s and 80s and 90s, and he was a renowned hair cutter. He was also the legislative union rep in the state of Maryland. Beyond that, he died in 2012. So he's been deceased. His heirs have sold the property. That was strictly a beauty academy, not really a functioning beauty salon.
Do you know when his heirs sold the property?
Mr. Gondel had purchased it a year ago this month.
Okay. Oh, so he bought it from the heirs?
Yes.
Okay.
So all that aside, I did have a conversation with Gondel. I understand that he has a whole heart to want to open a convenience store, but a lotto machine in that vicinity, 1 block away, as you've heard testimony, there was shootings. Convenience stores that are open between 9 and he's proposed the idea of being open till 9 p.m. to maybe midnight, depending on staff. In a residential area where just last year, less than a year, a young lady coming home with children who lived 4 houses away was held up. And this type of just that border Pratt Street is a very tricky corridor. one side of the street is a different element than the north side, which borders the Union Square Historic District. With that in mind, this neighborhood is, as Mr. Browning has said, has worked very hard on the vacancies to try to ensure and bring up, and having one more convenience store with the prospect of being a grocery store. In truth, 3 blocks away is a price right grocery store. So another so-called convenience store really is not in need. Thank you. Any questions?
Sir?
My name is Tony Ray. I'm an attorney, and I live there. I want
Your
to
name
say,
again, sir?
Tony Raya, TonyRaya. Your Honor, with all due respect to this gentleman, we live in peace there. Where we live, it's a war zone. Pratt Street is difficult. Where we live, our residence is clean, empty of violence, peaceful. We live in an oasis of peace. These gentlemen may bring kids around there. We don't want any more problems there. 2 weeks ago, someone got killed in Calhoun and Pratt Street. We have 2 grocery stores there already.
Well, if I
Right.
can try to reorient this a bit, because I think that we're starting to slide a little bit off task. Because what they are proposing to open is a convenience store. Whether that would or would not attract people who are looking to engage in criminal activity, I don't think is anything that can be testified to here. But what could be testified to here, and what I, and I will imagine a few other people are kind of interested to find out, is when was the beauty school, salon, what have you,
It was a school.
last in operation?
213,
Okay, and you know that, why?
because I was living there.
Okay, and that was the last time that you saw, February of 2013 was the last time you saw any kind of activity
Exactly.
on inside?
And
that
outside the sign says International Barber Salon, International Barber School, or something like that.
Okay.
That's a sign out there.
Okay. And the school closed operation after Mr. Ovara's death?
Yes.
Okay. And that was in approximately 2012, as I understand?
Correct.
Okay. Since then, there's been no use made of this property?
No use, and we've been living in peace and tranquility.
Commercial use, that is.
No commercial use, we've been living in peace and tranquility over there.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Nothing else, sir.
Thank you.
My name's Tom Bell, Mr. Washington. I live on Stricker Street where this property is. It's on the corner. We have a nice community here. There are problems at Calhoun and Pratt where the young men hang on the corner. There's no guarantee that they won't be hanging here. We just don't need it in our neighborhood.
Okay. What can you tell me about the operation of the beauty school salon?
I can't tell you because I haven't been here that long. My wife could tell you, but she's not here.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Nancy Littlepage, and been in the neighborhood, family's been in the neighborhood for a few generations, so we've seen quite a few corner stores. We can bring in the signatures. It was in the president submitted a Sun paper article that was about the academy and its closing with the dates and the zone, so it's confirmed by the Sun paper along with all the residents.
Do we have that in the file, Mr.
No.
I sent it to Mr. Bill.
Oh, okay.
And also to planning department.
Okay.
And this was in the spring, before we need this hearing.
Mr. French, you wouldn't have that, would you?
No, I believe that probably went to the community planner, who probably still has it in his files.
I'm sure we could forward copies to everyone. It's a very high crime rate neighborhood. There was 2 murders last weekend within 2 blocks of here, and it's not uncommon. It's a weekly occurrence, and every corner store, not just in our neighborhood, but on the west side, everywhere I drive and go, is an open air drug market. Even if it was owner occupied and good intentions to get forced out by the drug people, and then it's just a constant source for open-air drug dealing, crime, prostitution. I've been told by these corner stores, the one that was right on one block down from my house, that I couldn't walk on the street by the thugs that stand outside selling the heroin. The neighborhood reached out to him many times. The neighbors adjoining him complained about the trash already and the noise. He tried to put in a commercial kitchen with no permits and no licensed plumbers or electricians that I know of. I don't even say where. He went for permits when he was shut down for operating without permits, doing commercial construction without permits. And then he applied for the permit. And when he was completely shut down, he came to the neighborhood association to present himself as an organic green grocer was coming in. I say this man is not restrained by facts and the truth, in my opinion. He came to the neighborhood representing many things, including the date that he's doing now. And the day after he presented himself as an organic green grocer to get the approval of the neighborhood, look for their endorsement, was the day that they raided a bunch of corner stores for $22 million in EBT fraud. I knew his relatives who had a corner store on the other end of the block many decades ago, and I personally myself witnessed EBT fraud. So, the customers come in with their food stamps, they give them half the cash, they take the cash, they buy drugs or cigarettes or whatever. So this is a relative, oftentimes there are relatives with the corner store chains. And so I can just say that I've not heard, he's been a big problem in all areas to the neighborhood so far. And I'm a restoration general contractor, and but if I had the choice between another corner store coming in or a bomb taking out half the block, I would choose a bomb. And everyone feels that way in West Baltimore because it's just constant muggings, carjackings, and it all comes down to the corners with the heroin, with the store, because even if these gentlemen aren't involved, it becomes a spot because they have the cover to come and go. It just becomes an instant crime scene, and the police in the city are discouraging corner stores for that reason and want to roll back the zoning. Regardless of their intentions, the zoning is expired and would require special permission to open it. And I think everyone in the neighborhood is completely against it. And corner stores, there's plenty of places to buy soda and lottery tickets already. But that's not what goes on in the corner stores anyway.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anyone else? Okay. All right, thank you. Yes, please.
Only a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the other day when we went to the community, I thought it's a concern, but today I feel like I've been personally attacked by my neighbor because I don't have any drug using history. Drugs are a problem. I have a 2-year-old son. I have an 18 to 20 days old little girl. I'm concerned about that too. I'm moving from a very nice neighborhood from Alexandria, Virginia to this one. I'm gonna live upstairs. I'm gonna do a business downstairs. Grocery store they are referring to, just moving on, one more, I'm sorry. The relative, she said, I have a relative, family friend, good friend, he just bought a store 3 to 4 months ago. I'm not sure, and I don't have any other relative in this neighborhood or friend. I do have friends who do transportations, but nothing like store. So that's where I feel like I got personal attack from this EBT fraud. What I'm offering is, that's the same thing I'm offering. There is a problem. I'm very familiar with that. I'm very familiar with my stores. What I'm offering is food, everyday cooking, nice looking store with 100% automatic cash register, nothing hiding. Like openly, I spoke to a couple of my neighbors, they are here, and they was very agree with me. We need something, some nice comes in, old goes out, because there is a problem with this kind of stuff. So I'm very familiar with that, that's why I was offering 100% automatic cash register, 100% taken out of receipt. I'm not gonna stand behind the counter. It's gonna be employees, so it's gonna be a maintained business, and I have a very good history with that, renovating things. This is the need. That's what I'm offering is, as you can see on my plan, there is I can ensure I will not sell anything drug use.
Can you use the microphone?
I can ensure I will not sell anything belong to drugs or anything is creating problem. I'll shut that down. Cigarettes, lotto is not illegal. I play lotto. I explained them. I didn't bought the ticket today. I haven't checked it yet. It's been like 3 months sitting in my pocket. But I did buy a lotto ticket, which is, I like it. I like lotto once in a blue moon. That's what I'm offering is a very legit, very nice, very modern race, and I will spend money on my equipment. Everything I'm doing in is nothing gonna be like every other corner store at the corner, because there's no corner store is selling at the moment in neighborhood except that big market. Fruits, like fresh local farm fruits and vegetables and some healthy stuff. That's I'm planning on doing. That's where I like to make my money and feed my family, and maybe move into the next door, maybe something other in some other neighborhood. So, like, I'm a creative. Stopping this is not gonna help anybody. People already using that property as a side corner. My brother saw somebody unit on the side of the. It's not gonna help him. First floor doesn't have windows. Structure-wise, it's not gonna hold any other window to turn into a residential. It's been commercial use for over 50 years. It's the Mr. Avira did not open up a store in 70 or the school. He opened up before 68. Do have the paperwork supporting that, and the laws changed in 71. So I cannot beg because I'm a hard worker. So I would like to ask my community members, everybody, support my idea. It will be very legit, it will be very nice, and it will be very friendly family business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, sir, I would like to add a couple of comments. I think we also have conflict of interest here. In the community, our president of the association, him or his immediate family, such as his wife, owns another store in the community. He has been there for a while. We're unable to convince the community as much as he can. But however, I did get enough, not enough, but quite a few supportive letter from the community, immediate neighborhood, which is a block from Baltimore.
Any of those letters address when the property was last used?
No, sir. No, sir. They're willing.
That's really what's kind of more determinative here. It's knowing whether there is or isn't community support for something is something that we look for, and it's nice to be aware of, but frequently it's not determinative what the issue is. And that's certainly the case here. Really, a lot of this revolves around whether or not there's been continuous use of this property as a commercial business, or whether that use has been discontinued. And it's not a question of whether or not the board does or doesn't like what the proposal is here. It's a question of, does the board have the power to grant what you're seeking? Because if it's been vacant for too long, the board may not have the power to do that. But I think that at this point, we've heard enough testimony. So,
One more thing, I'm sorry.
30 seconds.
Okay. The institution that we're calling it closed, it was actually moved to Dunhill. It's a city in the nearby. By the same owner. The owner who is deceased, his inheritance, they moved the academy to a different city.
Okay.
After after or before, I'm not exactly sure around what time, but around that time, before they sold this property, they did move to a different city, and they currently are operating it.
Okay, thank you.
That actually supports our thing. They did move it to a location in the county in 2013. And if you could check with the community planner, you'll see the letter was on file with y'all, and it documents all this.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you. All right, 2016-255, 620 Berry Street, Chris Janian.
Got it right the second time.
All right, Mr. Janian, we have this as an application to subdivide a lot and construct two 3-story semi-detached single-family dwellings at this location. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there was opposition that was here before. Where are
They're
they?
still here.
Well, where are they?
She just went out to get them.
Okay. Well, all those intending to give testimony can raise their hands and be sworn, please.
Here they come. Sorry. Leave the present.
Everybody raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
All right. Do we have staff reports?
Yes. First, we have a letter from a resident. I am a resident at 614 Berry Street. I am the legal owner of the property next door. Regarding the hearing for the subdivision of the lot at 620 Berry Street and the construction of two 3-story semi-detached single-family homes. I am totally against the proposal. The structure would be within 3.5 feet of my property line. Not acceptable. What word? Our street is our street is a little bit almost like a Mayberry setting. All of the residents live here in 2-story dwellings, myself as well, as the rest of my neighbors do not want a 3-story dwelling structure. Please do not allow this proposal to go through. We have another letter from a resident at 626 Berry Street. In the event that the residents of 624 and 614 Berry Street are in support or do not have opposition to the variance or reduction, as the owner of the third adjacent property, 621 West 37th Street, I have the following concerns and request agreements. 1, I have a retaining wall between my property and 620 Berry Street. The parking pad is planned to run against my property line. Any construction activity that would damage or require renovation of the existing retaining wall should be at the expense of the owner at 620. I have a large aging tree growing against the property line at 620 Berry Street. Any construction at 620 Berry that results in any damage to any property or any need for the removal of said tree should be the responsibility of the owner at 620. I do not support any construction against my property line and retaining wall that would cause me any direct or indirect financial expense. I understand that these concerns above are less related to zoning and more related to contract or tort law. However, the construction of a parking pad is uncommon in the 600 block of Berry Street, and approval of the submitted plans increases the likelihood of the previous mentioned damages. We have correspondence from Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark. She indicates that the owners plan to make one of these properties their family home and to sell the other as a single-family dwelling. At an on-site meeting on Saturday, August 27th, the owner pledged that if granted the variances in this appeal, he would accept as conditions the following: to remove the proposed rear deck from the plan entirely, to install exterior siding compatible to that typical on the existing block, and to amend the deed for both properties to restrict both properties in perpetuity to single-family home use only. We have letters of support from the following residents at 3815 Beach Avenue, 3759 Keswick Road, 612 Berry Street, 602 Berry Street, 3648 Beach Avenue, and 608 Berry Street, And we have planning's report.
Thank you. Planning Department noted this application in addition to calling for variances to approve the proposed dwellings will require approval by the Planning Commission for subdivision. The department notes that the variances requested are within the discretion of the board to grant. The department recommends that approval of this application be subject to the condition that development of both proposed new lots is completed in accordance with the subdivision and development plan to be approved by the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Mr. Janine, do you agree to the condition offered by the planning department?
Yes.
Okay. And why don't you, I guess, I was going to say, why don't you tell us about what you're proposing here, but Councilwoman, I didn't know if you've got...
I do.
Okay. So I'll, I guess, first go to you so that you can go on to your other commitments.
Thank you. My name is Mary Pat Clark, Baltimore City Council, 14th District, and Berry Street is in my district. A very active block of the Wyman Park Association. I really take responsibility that I did not organize appropriately a meeting back when I realized we needed to get one together. And because of that, my letter says, and it is no longer the case, that I have received no letter or communication of opposition. I wrote that letter yesterday and sent it early this morning, and since then opposition has certainly appeared, and so that part of my letter is no longer the case. I would like to say that it is important, if the board decides to grant these variances, those three conditions are absolutely crucial, especially the single family use in perpetuity running with the deeds of both properties. These are large houses, and we would not like to take any chances that they would be subdivided somehow and rented by the room. We're only a couple blocks away from Hopkins campus. So I do apologize to one and all, but that I didn't organize as I wanted to and should have. So we meet one by one, and there is opposition. And I would like to say that the Janians live a block away with their little boy on Cracombe and want to stay in the neighborhood, and that is why they chose they did not demolish the beloved property that was sitting there, which we couldn't stop from being demolished. It cleared the ground, and it was for sale. I don't know if they own it or whether they have a contract, but basically, they saw it as an opportunity to have a larger home with a new baby coming, 2 kids, and a big dog. So that's why. I've worked with everyone on this block, and this board has been extremely responsive to this block in a very weird, strange case a couple of years ago where the backyard of someone's house was owned by a separate party, and no one, including the owner, knew that, and he wanted to build a house, and that did not come to pass. So I thank you for that, and I apologize to all that I do have to go to a meeting, and I appreciate the chance to be here. This is a very nice, good, young couple with a couple little boys coming along, and this is a very active, close-knit block. And I'm sorry we're having the meeting we should have had in front of you. And thank you for your consideration of all these issues. And if I may just add one thing, Mr. Burnoff's requests, I did receive them, and that has to do with any possible damages that might occur should this go forward up to his adjacent property. He happens to own the backyard of the house I just mentioned that didn't get developed. He owns it to protect it. And so he is asking for a little protection agreement, and I'd like that. Thank you for reading it into the record. And I presume that it will be honored, however things develop. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Ginny.
Mary Pat did a pretty good job of kind of recanting our story. My wife and I live a block away on Craycombe Avenue, and we've been there for 2 years. I have one more letter of support. It's from a neighbor that I can turn in. We happened to be walking our dog and saw that the property was being demolished. We didn't really understand what was going on, so I kind of went to some neighbors, asked them, and apartments were going up. It seemed as though nobody in the community really wanted apartments. So what I did is I took it upon myself, because we were looking for another house now that we do have a baby coming that you can't really see, which she looks great. But I went and found the legal entity that owned it, found the lawyer that represented the current property owner, and it was actually in process of being sold to a developer who was putting up apartments also. His plan, who was demolishing it, was to put up apartments, and as was the other owners. If I could meet the price that he was selling it for and close earlier, then he agreed to sell it to me. So we entered into an agreement. We actually closed a week before we had to post the sign. So we do own the property now. And I had 3 different plans from my architect, and I asked him to come up with kind of the best solution. One is the one that you are seeing right now, and it's the only one that didn't conform to the zoning. Unfortunately, the property is a little bit too expensive for a single-family house, just one. You normally are looking for 25 to 30% of the land cost to be for the total price, and it just doesn't really fit in with any other houses along that side for the total price. The next best plan for our consideration was to build 2 townhouses that were connected. They are a little bit bigger than what is on the street right now, but for us to stay in the city, and that's really what we needed. And the third plan was an apartment plan that is the most profitable financially, but in my opinion is not the best for the neighborhood. In front of you is the plan that we came up with and we think is the best for the street and the block.
Okay. Yes, we do.
So I can kind of clarify and walk you through that. There are 3'11" side yards on both sides, as opposed to the 10-foot that is required in the R7 zoning. Along the entire block, there are only 2 houses that have 10 feet or over side yards, and it's only on one side. Obviously, these were built during a different time, so just still kind of wanted to mention it. There are houses that have similar side yards, some a little bit more, some a little bit less, but only 2 conform to the zoning along the entire block.
Well, looking at the photograph that we have, it looks like there are a number of properties, at least 2 on each side, that are similar duplex kind of constructions. One looks like it has a conforming 10-foot interior yard, at least on one side.
Mm-hmm. It's at 614.
None of them look like they have the front setback. Look like they're all kind of uniformly along the front there.
Correct.
And what was there? Was that like a house and a carport or something?
Yes, it was a house. It was originally built as a single-family house. Supposedly from neighbors' recounts that we heard it was being used as 3 apartments last. Okay. There was a driveway that goes through the entire site. There's a curb cut on the front side and on the back side. There was a garage that went all the way up to the 614's property line, and there was an awning, a built-in kind of roof awning on the first floor that went up about maybe 4 feet to the opposing property line on either side.
Okay.
And that was a 2-story. I'm sorry. It was a 2-story house with a peaked roof that went up almost to the peak of the house that we're proposing.
Any questions?
No.
Sir?
Keith Carden, 632 Berry Street. If you look at the picture, it appears that the house had a lot of ground coverage, when in fact it was a 16 or 18-foot wide house with porches all around, the one-story garage, a carport. They'd even enclosed in the back porches, which I don't know whether it was legally done or illegally done, probably illegally. But we all loved the house. It was fine as a single-family home. They want to pretty much take away Mr. Becker's distance that he had from the old house. I have some pictures of the old house during demolition if you'd like to see them. The old house was even with the other houses in the front, and the other houses are currently 13 and a half feet away from the sidewalk, or they want to go 10 feet, which from my perspective at 632 would have the house sticking out 3 feet past everybody else's house.
We'd be happy to move it back to 13.
And then based on the length of the 55 feet of the house that they want, would again move the house farther back in the backyard, especially if they, as he just said, move it back 3 feet, and then he's going to be taking it three more feet into the backyard. Those are my main issues, plus the fact that it's taking up my my neighbor's yard and being too close to them, and I support their decisions. At 632 Berry Street, I had my house in 3 foot to the side of my house, plus an additional lot that was 30 feet wide. I came down to get a permit to attempt to build a house on that 30-foot piece of property, and they told me you have to stay 10 feet off the property lines. And I said, well, I own one of the houses. I think I can give myself the right to build it. And they said, but you have to stay off the property lines. So if you look on the pictures of 632, I built my addition in accordance with everything else everybody else had. So it's just, my house is just 2 houses, a house and a garage put together.
Okay, is that it?
Pretty much.
All right. Ma'am?
Yeah, I'm against it also. I just feel that if they want to build a house within the scope of the old house, that would be fine. But I don't want to see anything 3 stories on our street, because it's just not within scale, you know? We're all 2 stories. They want to go 3 stories, you know? I just don't think it's right. This is my nephew, and I support him. And Linda Galway, who was a good friend of mine.
Keith Becker, I live at 624 Berry Street, right next door, and I just don't want the house so close to mine. I mean, before it was 10 foot, now they want to put it right on top of my yard. I mean, it's just too close. Their other neighbor on the other side, she's opposed also. It's just too big for our street. I mean.
May I also add something?
Yes.
The lot's 45 feet wide. If they stay 10 feet and 10 feet, they can still build a huge house. But I guess for financial reasons, they can't do it. So it's not my problem.
Thank you. Sir?
Sure. I mean, we tried to reach out to everybody along the street, had great conversations with most people. We did reach out to everybody over here. They wouldn't take our meeting requests. I have talked to Keith just next door a couple times and asked everybody to come to our community meeting that we held on the site. A couple things. The previous house was 55 feet long. And second, part of the front yard setback. It's supposed to be 20 feet as according to zoning, or the average of every house along the street. We estimated it at 10 feet. We are completely fine with moving it back to the average of where everybody else's is.
Any questions?
No.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
We don't want to open a can of worms out of it for people to demolish the house. Including myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, 2016-256, 4007 Frederick Avenue, Angel Williams.
Where's the folder?
Good afternoon, Angel Williams.
Okay, and Ms. Williams, we have this as an application to use the first floor of the premises as a clothing store with accessory tattoo parlor located in the rear portion of the store. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. If all those intending to give testimony can raise their right hands and be sworn, please.
Raise your right hands if you'd like to testify. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, and do we have staff reports?
Yes, first we have a letter from the Irvington Community Association. They write that on behalf of the association, please accept this letter of opposition to BMZA Appeal Number 2016-256 for the property 4007 Frederick Avenue. While we welcome the prospect of a new and diverse communities to our community, the concept proposed for providing tattoos in the rear of a clothing store poses great concern for the community. We support the clothing store portion of this proposal. Also, the permittee has made no attempt to bring this proposal before the Community Association for consideration. We also have a letter from House of Delegates Representative Keith Haynes. I am writing in support of the Irvington Community Association and their opposition to a zoning change which would allow the presence of a business which primarily focuses on tattoos at the address 4007 Frederick Avenue. And then we have planning's report.
Thank you. Planning reviewed this application, noted that it was described as to use the first floor of the premises as a clothing store with accessory tattooing in the rear of the store. A tattoo parlor would be a prohibited use in a B2 zoning district, which this property is. The floor plan that was provided with the application did not have dimensions to indicate what portion of the total square footage of this commercial use would be the tattooing area as opposed to the principal use, which would be the clothing store. The department recommends deferral of a complete hearing of this appeal to allow the applicant time to prepare a dimensioned floor plan that would assist the board's determination of whether tattooing would be an accessory use of this premises. If the board determines that tattooing as an accessory use may be approved, the department recommends that it be subject to the conditions that there is no exterior signage or other indication that tattooing is available on the premises, and that tattooing occurs only during normal business hours of the clothing shop that is the principal use of the premises. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Williams. First, are you willing to accept the conditions that were offered by the planning department?
Yes.
Okay, and why don't you tell us about what you're proposing here?
I'm proposing on the first floor of this establishment, a clothing store in the front and accessory tattooing in the rear. This will not just be a tattoo shop. We'll have clothes in the front. We only have 2 tattoo chairs in the rear where the accessory will be held. 2 artists. They'll be operating during normal business hours of the store from 9 to 8 p.m. We will be going by appointment only. There will be no walk-ins. The tattoo artists will get and book their clients through social media or by passing out cards. That's the only time the public will be able to come in to get a tattoo, by appointment only. And I don't believe that it poses threats to the safety of the neighborhood. We won't be having any signs saying, oh, it's tattoos. Like I said before, there's no walk-ins. We are located closer to the Loudon Street. It's not a lot of people that stand around the corner. With 3 stores from the Loudon Street. all the commotion is up at the other end. So, and we will be employing 2 black males, trying to get them off the street, doing something positive and creative with themselves. And I will also be employing 2 females in the clothing portion of the store. The clothing store will be will generate the most income, and we will be selling women's clothing and hair and accessories for that portion. And that's it.
Okay. As Mr. French had pointed out, there's not a drawing showing what the dimensions of the area where the tattooing would occur. But
Yeah,
how much?
I wasn't really good with drawing the picture, but I tried to provide pictures showing which portion and where the tattoo chairs would be.
Okay. And does anyone know like what the dimensions are of that area? Is it? So it looks like it's just like an open floor plan, and these are just chairs or stations that are set up within like an otherwise.
It is. It's separated by a stairwell, though. And,
Okay.
Basically,
Sir, what's your name?
My apologies. My name's Don Curtis.
Okay. Mr. Curtis, if you could use the microphone.
Great. Okay. It's actually separated by a stairwell. But the dimensions, we don't actually have the actual physical dimensions like the numbers itself, but I will provide it if you guys want to do the deferment. That would be great. But I do know that it's going to be 80% clothing and 20% the tattoo accessories.
Square
So-
footage or usage?
Usage.
Okay.
So per the square foot, well, not the square footage, because, in the back of it, there's a bathroom and stuff back there, but the actual usage for the public, that's open to the public, will be 80% will be for the clothing portion and 20% will be for the tattoo accessories.
Okay, so the tattoo operation that'll take place in about 20% of the physical area
Absolutely.
of the store.
Absolutely. And I'll provide the measurements. And these gentlemen, they're young men, and, we're just trying to give them an opportunity. Not only are we giving them jobs and stuff like that, but we're actually teaching them how to start their own businesses as well. We're not just, hey, come in here and make some money. Hey, look, we're going to show you this is what you do. This is the process. You have to go and get a tax ID number and, things of that nature. So, we're just trying to do something that's right.
All right. Any questions? Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Dorothy Cunningham. I'm the president of the Irvington Community Association. When Mr. Don and his uncle was in the premises renovating without a permit, I asked them what did they were going to do with the building. They said they didn't know. I say, word to the wise, before you decide what you're going to do, come to the association. That didn't occur. I found out from zoning that they wanted to do a tattoo shop in the place. Also invited Mr. Don, because we had the business association had business meetings, and he has not attended. He just has not been a good neighbor. They're doing tattoos already before it went through zoning or the health department, because I have been observing. I've been taking pictures. This is the property where a lot of hanging out is going on. I got the young man's phone number, which name is Ross, and they're making appointments right now. So that tells me that you're just going to do whatever you want to do within our community. So if you're doing it now, without going through zoning or coming to the association, what's going to happen once you get in there? So.
Okay. Again, my apologies to her if she feels as though I haven't came to their meetings, but I own a towing business as well. I didn't know exactly what we're gonna do with the building. When she asked me, she did ask me, some time ago, this was like 6 months ago, what are you gonna do with the building? I didn't know. We were just trying to get the building cleaned up because it was like a hole in the wall. It was really, really bad. So, Ms. Williams presented the idea.
She never came to me about the association meeting. Just now when you asked if we want to have a conversation,
She didn't want to talk. She's been like that for a minute.
but it's no problem. You know, I don't mind opening up to the neighborhood association. My apologies.
That's just one at a time.
Yeah, I don't mind opening up to the neighborhood association and whatever compliance they want or whatever they want us to do in order to bend and make it work and suitable for the neighborhood. That's fine with me. You know, I'm willing to bend. You know what I mean? As far as they need me to bend, I've been willing to talk with them. I've tried to talk with her several times, but you know, again, that's them. I don't have time. I didn't have time to go to their meeting because I have a towing company. You know, this isn't my primary business; it's her business.
Okay, so just to kind of go over where we are. One of the, I guess, when people file for zoning appeals, you know, there's a form that you fill out, and there's an admonition there that applicants reach out to the affected community associations within the neighborhoods that they are filing appeals on behalf of, I guess, regarding properties in those communities. And we have contact numbers, and we really try to push for there to be communication and interaction between communities and applicants. That being said, that's not a requirement for, or that's not something that we necessarily look for when it comes time for the hearing. We really encourage that dialogue to occur because it can avoid, well, a couple of things. First of all, it's just simply being more inclusive and encouraging businesses that are going to be operating in communities to reach out and communicate with them. It's kind of hard to start a business when your first foot off the ground is a confrontational encounter like this one. We also have the admonition there to make the process go a little bit more efficiently so that we don't have roomfuls of people standing here who've never spoken before arguing about things that they should have discussed a long time ago. That being said, that's not one of the requirements for us to evaluate when we're looking at these appeals when it comes time for the hearing. So other than that they didn't come to speak with your organization first, and that they may have been doing work without a permit, are there other issues that are reasons why you're opposing this appeal?
It is. We've been having a lot of trouble with the Frederick Avenue corridor. It took me 1.5 years to get a full-time foot patrol to cover that corridor and keep it free from loitering. We also have a lot of elderly people within the community. Our goal is to try to bring in businesses that'll benefit everyone and not just the young people. We just did a tap. It took us 3 to 6 months to do that, for them to come in and do an evaluation of Irvington to see what type of business we could attract to our community. A tattoo shop will not encourage the older people to use the Frederick Avenue corridor, and that's our main focus, to have that corridor used by people my age, these folks' age that's vested in the community. I've lived in Irvington for over 20 years. We're vested there. But for the most part now, because of the type of businesses that keep coming to our community, most of us have to get in our cars, go to Catonsville, or go somewhere out of our area. My goal is to bring business to the area so the folks won't have to leave where they live to go somewhere to get a decent meal, to sit down and get a decent cup of coffee. And that's my focus for that Frederick Avenue corridor. And that's why myself and the residents that I represent do not want a tattoo shop.
Okay, just so that we're clear, there are two uses that are being sought here. The primary use is a clothing store.
And we don't have a problem with the clothing store.
The tattoo operation, as I understand it, well, the tattoo operation is a accessory use to go along with the clothing store. And just so we can go over what accessory uses are. The point of them is that they are much smaller operations than the principal operation. So definition of accessory use is a use that serves or is customarily incidental and subordinate to the principal use, is subordinate in area, extent, or purpose to the principal use, contributes to the comfort, convenience, or necessity of occupants, business, or industry in the principal use served, and except in the planned unit development is located in the same lot as the principal use. So the purpose of all of those things is to ensure that accessory uses are smaller aspects of the, or I guess, are smaller in size and operation to the principal focus of whatever is being conducted, or whatever principal use is being made of the property. So here the principal use would be as a clothing store. I don't know what kind of clothing or whatever that, that the business is looking to offer, but clothing, it would strike me, are needs that people need regardless of age. And the tattoo aspect is proposed to be, and since it's going to be an accessory use, is required to be a much smaller aspect of their operation. They testified that there's going to be 2 people there, and they're going to, and the amount of space that they're going to be operating within is going to be 20% of the overall square footage. Those are requirements such that if they were to say, let's say that they left here today and they went out and they set up the entire thing with tattoo chairs and tattoo artists, and they were doing tattoos out of there 24/7. Well, you would be able to go to zoning enforcement and say this use was approved as an accessory use, but they're now using it as their principal use. And then zoning enforcement could go out there, and if they confirm that, they would shut them down. So the use being sought here as an accessory use and the requirements within the code give you some rather powerful enforcement mechanisms to ensure that the true extent of their operation is really as limited as they are making it out here to be. And because if it's not, then you could have them shut down.
Well, I already been through zoning enforcement. I talked to Mr. Turnipseed because technically they shouldn't be operating right now, and they are. So he has been out and will be out again because they are operating. I had pictures. They say there won't be no loitering. I live right on that block of Loudon. I had pictures with 6 and 7 guys standing in front of the building waiting for Mr. Ross to do their tattoos. Because I've called, had other folks call to set up appointments. So they're operating right now without even being licensed. They're operating right now. So what's going to happen once they go through zoning and they're approved, what's going to happen then? What are they going to do?
Okay. Are there any other people who are going to speak?
They're going to speak if they choose to.
Well, just because if you turn around and you'll see there are a number of folks who are waiting. So
Okay,
kind of
fine.
speed through.
Go ahead.
I encourage the community.
I just have a question. My name is Ella Brown, and I'm a resident in the Irvington area. And I understand you will have children clothing. I don't know what's involved but you have children, and then a few feet away you have tattoos and you have inks. I don't know how that's going to work out. And I don't know about the space. I don't know if a certain amount of space is required for the tattoos. You did say something about that. And I wanted to ask them if they're going to have children. We're trying to make it a kids-friendly place because we have young adults who don't have anything else to do, who will spend what little money they have for tattoos. But I'm concerned because there may be children in the store and you're a parent, and they may run back where the inks are. So I'm trying to find out how that works. And you said they will have children
We're willing
clothing.
to bend with the community association.
Okay, then you need to come to our next meeting. We would appreciate it. Okay.
Although we're
Now I
a
wanna hold this
woman's store, I also have 2 children of my own. So the inside wouldn't be in any way harmful for children because they're not going to be in there all the time, but of course they're going to be in there. So it's the artist and myself will make sure that it's a safe environment.
Okay, well, the only thing I'm saying, and I'm gonna leave because I don't want to hold up anybody. Since you are not tattooing, let's see the clothing store first, and then you could put up the tattoo. If you don't, you have clothing there now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
What hours is the store going to be open for both tattooing and for clothing? Are there different hours, same hours?
No, it's the same hours.
And
from
what
9
hours would those be?
From 9 to 8.
How many days a week?
7.
No.
It is 7.
6.
6, 7, 6?
I had 6. I didn't know. She said 7.
7.
It's her shop.
7.
Okay. All right, 7 days.
Because I sell hair also, so people call and want to come and buy hair, so it's going to be open every day.
And, well, we can turn to this when we get through the opposition.
My major concern would be the crime in the neighborhood. Right now, the crime up there is escalating. And I just would hate to see them hang, right now they hang out, they put chairs out by the alley. That's how they hang out. And I'm just concerned about that because I had a couple run-ins with some of the local drug dealers around there, and that's my major concern.
And I support
Your name, sir?
Norris Cook.
Cook?
Yes.
I support that. And we need to put up loitering signs or
What?
anything.
Yeah, if you do that, that'd be nice.
Anything to help out.
Everyone's talking. I'm losing track of what's happening.
Sorry.
That's why.
Mr. Cook spoke.
I
and
know exactly what
then
happened, but I have to take notes that every person talks. If they all talk at the same time, I
They
can't
weren't
follow.
talking
All
at the
right.
same time. One
Okay,
person
whatever.
completed a sentence and the other person began a sentence.
Okay. No, I got it. You know.
Great.
Not
Let's
only
try to
that,
wind
we
this
have
up.
cameras, which you guys can have access to as well if you need to, you know, what I mean, the cameras for the neighborhood. So if crime's being committed in the neighborhood and stuff like that, we have cameras. We want our property protected, we want our customers protected, and we want our children protected the same way that you do. You know, she says family that lives on Irvington lived there for 20 years. So, you know, it's not like we're just coming in and not caring or anything like that. We're trying to help young men get jobs and do good, positive things. While they're in there tattooing, they're not out there committing crimes. While somebody's in there making a purchase or something like that, they're not out there committing crimes. You know, so anything you guys want to suggest or anything like that, we're open and willing to working with you on it. I've never met you guys, so you know, I've only met the one person, one
Okay.
lady.
Since there seems to be an effort at having a dialogue during this hearing, do the sides want to engage in a dialogue, postpone this hearing, and come back once they've had an opportunity to talk and maybe seek agreement on whatever differences there are between them, including any kind of conditions that the community would be interested in, including things like interior screening, and also give you an opportunity to come back with the numbers and the square footage. But that's really up to the opposition.
That would be up to my community president.
Well,
you know.
that's who I'm looking for here.
Can you come up?
So the members are willing to do that. I don't represent myself, I represent them, so they're willing to do that.
Okay.
Will it be in the meeting hall?
Yeah, right.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
No problem.
All right.
I'll be there, and when will we be coming back here?
Okay.
If we need to, I don't know.
All right. What we can do is, if you all are going to be talking, if I understood it correctly, the next meeting is the 13th. That would give, the next board hearing is on the 20th. So if you all were able to have a discussion and come to an agreement on some items, we can have you back here on the 20th, we could put whatever agreement you've had on the record at that time. In addition, you could supplement it with your information about the dimensions.
Thanks a lot.
All right? All right, thank you all. Next, 2016-264, 3324 Fate Avenue, James Kowaleski. All right, afternoon, Mr. Kowaleski.
Good afternoon.
We have this as an application to construct a rooftop deck with pergola at this location, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, if you can, well, like you've already been sworn, so, do we have any staff reports?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Okay. All right, and Mr. Kowaleski, why don't you tell us about what is being proposed here? I guess.
If you look on the second sheet or third sheet, there's an isometric drawing. It shows more detail.
All right. And the issue that we have here,
It's above 35 feet for both the railing for the deck and obviously the pergola.
yes.
And then if possible, I'd like to submit these photos I took of the surrounding neighborhood to the board so they can see a little more clarity. Sorry.
That's all right, thank you.
And on that first photo, I try to show that we have two active permits on this house for decks and deck structures. So Mr. Mayo is the owner and the builder of this deck structure. But if you could look at photo 1 and photo 2, you'll see that there's a huge elevation going up Holland Avenue. And if you were to continue through that packet and go to photo 3, right a block and a quarter away are structures that are much in the same scale, except that they're 4-story or 4.5-story is the way I would scale it on photo 3 and specifically. Those are solid structures. And that is probably one of the highest points in the Hollandtown, Canton area. And then if you were to jump to photo 4, right across the street diagonally, you have another 4-plus-story structure. And then lastly, photo 5, again, about a block and a quarter away are 5-story structures. So what we're trying to do is to build an open structure, both a deck railing and a pergola. And that was one of the comments that came back from the Canton Community Association. And that said, and I would submit that also that the drawings I put forth were done back in early July, so we would be within approximately 2 feet of those final heights when we're done. And I would submit all that to the permit office. And lastly, I mean, I'm a licensed engineer and a licensed contractor. I grew up, spent 52 years in this neighborhood. I can tell the board specifically that there's many of these pergolas that go up on a Saturday. Now, I am not the one that's going to call up and call about that, so I made it a point that anything over 35 feet, as an engineer, and because I'm stamping the drawing, we're going to be before the board. So I make that very clear to all my clients and obviously Michael. So in general, in closing, I just want to show you that there's so many structures in the immediate area that exceed or are very close to the same height, but a lot of those are 4.5 stories that are solid walkouts to these roof decks. And his would be open. So I think it would be a very limited impact to any surrounding neighbors. And in fact, Mike's been working on the project since end of May is when I got the first permit. So he's been out there, he's been approached by a myriad of neighbors and nobody's complained. In fact, he's got 2 immediate neighbors that, if I could submit, are in the immediate area, just a couple of doors away, that have signed saying they're in favor of it. And this is not, I don't think, that far from what, 35 feet versus about 38 to 40 feet for the final rail height. So that's all I have for the board.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
On this photo here,
Yes,
you've
sir.
seen this? So you've got your existing building here.
Yes, sir.
And the existing next door here. What's this height differential between your roof and the next door roof? Approximately?
It's 8 feet.
And that's existing today?
Excuse me,
that needs to be
excuse me,
different?
what's your name, sir?
Sir, I'm sorry. I am Michael Mayo. I'm the owner of 3324 Fade Avenue.
Okay. And that 8 feet is existing?
Existing,
today?
yes, sir.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Need 5. Sorry, didn't see you coming.
Okay, back on the record, calling 2016-267, 2011 North Wheeler Street, Bernadine Adams.
Sit underneath that, please.
Afternoon, Ms. Adams.
Hello.
Thank you for your patience. We have this as an application to construct a first floor rear deck onto a single-family attached dwelling. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. If you can raise your right hand and be sworn, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Do we have staff reports?
Sorry,
Planning-
sir? Oh.
We did have
I know, there was opposition that signed in. They haven't been here since.
Okay.
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Adams, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're seeking here?
Just a basic first floor deck in the rear.
Yeah, I guess we do here. Okay, here's the deck. Looks like, is it gonna go all the way to the edge of the property?
It's a little bit shy of the end. It's like, there's room left.
Okay.
So
All right, so just have this
comparable to,
right here.
yes, that's correct.
Okay. So the property line is gonna be somewhere,
It's a, yes, it's a little bit approximated around here.
okay. Do you know about how many feet?
It's like half,
Half a foot?
yes.
Okay, so,
About 24 inches, probably. 24, like around 24 inches.
okay, well, 24
I mean,
inches. of-
excuse me, 2 feet, excuse me.
2 feet,
2
okay.
feet, 2 feet, excuse me.
Okay, so about 2 feet from the property line.
Mhm.
All right, and looks like there's going to be a walkway here. Is that it?
Right, that exists already.
Oh, okay.
That's I didn't actually need this copy, the person in zoning did, but this is the whole deck.
Mhm.
This pathway is underneath of where it would be, which is on the basement level.
Oh, okay, so the deck then is going to go all the way to the side.
So I have a basement
well. Mhm.
that's not in the ground, so it's ground level,
Mhm.
and then I have the first floor. So that pathway, I don't know why, I don't know, but that's the concrete pathway that leads from the fence underneath the deck.
So will you park underneath the garage?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
This is already concreted.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
No?
All right, thank you. I was asking that.
All right.
Thank you.
So I have to wait 3 weeks now to move forward?
Yeah, it'll be it'll probably be about 3 to 4 weeks. It could be less, but
Okay.
You
3
get
to
it in
4
writing,
weeks.
but you can find out our decision tomorrow, or even today if you want to wait.
I might as well wait. All right. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
For now.
2016-268, 229 through 233 East North Avenue, Philip Scott. Yeah, let's try to encourage her to- She's got childcare. Okay. Mr. Scott? All right. Sir, we have this as an application to consolidate 229 and 231 through 233 East North Avenue in order to use the premises as an apartment complex that will consist of 13 dwelling units and 17 efficiency units. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. If all those giving testimony can raise their right hands and be sworn, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Do we have staff reports?
Yes, we have a letter from the New Greenmount West Community Association. They write that they are opposed to the reference request to use the consolidated premises for 30 dwelling units. We note that the zoning application, the developer has stated his intentions to provide 3 off-street parking spaces in the rear, of which is currently 229 East North Avenue. We are pleased that he has considered parking, since parking has become quite a problem as Greenmount West has become repopulated. However, McAllister Street, located at the rear of this parcel, is only 14 feet wide, which is not in conformance with the accessibility requirements of the zoning code. They also write that the developer met with this committee on June 28th to discuss these plans, and unfortunately, the information that they provided was not specific enough for us to make a favorable judgment, and ignored any considerations of the neighborhood safety and quality of life. Though it may be hard to imagine, Greenmount West will be overcrowded, particularly while the community is still recovering from years of disinvestment. But it is a very real possibility for this corner of the neighborhood. The project is being done by a developer, but once this one of many projects that are in process currently planned allows for oversaturation of people and automobiles, it's a very real concern. Then we have planning support.
Thank you. Planning Department reviewed this application, noted that it relates to 2 separate properties with 2 separate conditions attached to each one that are proposed to be consolidated. The corner property, which is 231 to 233 East North Avenue, was previously approved by this board for use as 19 residential units, 15 dwelling units, and 4 efficiency units, but no use and occupancy permit was ever issued pursuant to that decision. property known as 229 East North Avenue is currently vacant and has the use and occupancy status of a single-family dwelling according to a permit issued May 24th of 2016. The owner is proposing, or the applicant is proposing, to put in a number of residential units, which, by the calculations of the planning department, would require a lot area variance of approximately 43%, which would exceed the board's discretionary authority of 25% contained in the zoning code. However, going back to 231 to 233 East North Avenue, if the board determines that that property was in fact non-conforming and the adoption of the zoning ordinance did not terminate a certificate of occupancy previously issued for that property, then a total of 25 residential units for the consolidated property would be consistent with the requirements of Section 13-512A of the zoning code. On the basis of this review, and also noting that the parking variance required would be 73%, which is within the variable amount the board may authorize, the Department of Planning is recommending disapproval of this appeal because the amount of variance of lot area requirements that would be required for approval would exceed the discretionary authority provided to the board in the zoning code. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Scott.
Yes, my name is Philip Scott, and I'm here representing the owners, 231 North Avenue LLC, Isaac here. And yes, the board did approve this property, I think 3 years ago, for 19 units. And the property was consolidated prior to the previous ownership. The new owners purchased the 229 and consolidated that property. So it's now one total building that we're intending to use as a multifamily dwelling for 29, just about 29 units. The number of efficiencies has fluctuated in terms of as we start looking at this. At the moment it has here, back when we made this application, I think, was it 17?
I've got 17 efficiencies, 13 dwelling units for a total of 30.
So we figured that with the rear yard, we could put some parking back there with a dumpster, with a generator unit. We'll need some rear. We'd use that open space in the rear yard for some parking. Previously, we didn't have any parking back in 2012, 2013. But now we are offering some because we have increased the number of units. The corner building at Guilford and North, that is 4 stories. The other 2, which were formerly single-family dwellings prior to consolidation 1 and 2, are 3 units. Those we are now turning into as 1 unit with an elevator to serve for this entire complex.
Okay.
Isaac, you want to say something?
Yes, please. Good afternoon. My name is Isaac. I'm the owner of 231 East North Avenue.
Your full name, sir?
Isaac Alkaslasi.
Can you spell
ALKSLASI.
SL.
ASI. You're welcome. I started in Baltimore 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I bought a few buildings here in the area, 1411 Division, 1 North Cary, 1316, 1318 West Baltimore, 231. And I have a few properties in Miami, in Chicago, in New York. I'm dealing a lot with the University in New York. I have a few buildings with the university. The idea in this building, 231, it's to build something luxury for the neighborhood, for the students. I'm not going to deal, and I came to the meeting with the neighbor, I'm not going to deal with the family. The building, from my opinion, I mean, and it can be for families. I mean, it's a studio apartment and it's 1 bedroom. The only thing to make it luxury nice, it's full gym. The basement is almost 11 foot high, full gym, full game room, playroom, with TV, with music system, elevator, laundry, elevator. We're going to add, original, the building is without elevator. I'm going to add elevator to the building. I'm going to spend over $3 million my money. I'm not dealing with bank. I'm not taking loan. Everything is a cash money. I explained to the people, it's no way to business, I mean, to maintenance the building with the 20 or 25 units. I'm going to cut from the original 2 bedroom and make a studio, 530 square foot, to make it for students. I sit with a few students, I sit with the university. This is my opinion, this is my dream. I'm not coming to take building 19 plus the other 2 buildings and to make it for family. It's not gonna work. It's gonna be a lot issue with parking. The minute I'm dealing with student, and I left also in the back to build very nice open space, to build space for bike. We're going to put in the building around 30 to 40 bike to the back. It's going to be with full camera system, full intercom system, doorman 24 hours. Very nice lobby. So, for my opinion, I mean, and I'm sure you guys understand, if it's going to be studio, not 2 bedroom apartment, and we cut the 2 bedroom to 2 studio, it's much more space, and it's a lot more luxury.
So the primary objection of the planning department rests upon their conclusion that the variance for the density that you're seeking is greater than what the board can grant. And Mr. French will just go through some of the numbers. What we have here is that the required minimum lot area for 13 dwelling units and 17 efficiency units is 13,250 square feet.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And then the total lot area is 7,479. Well, let's call it 7,480, since it's a fraction there. But the point is that would need a 43% variance. Is that the same math that you're?
That's what we came up with, yes, sir.
Okay. The board's authority is capped by statute at 25%. So you are almost 20% more than what the board can grant.
Mm-hmm. But the reason I'm not going with the family again. I'm not going with 2 bedroom. I mean, I have the space. If you're gonna see the square foot, the total square foot, after corridors, after lobby, after gym, to get studio, almost 600 square foot. I mean, it's a huge space.
I know, and it sounds marvelous, but it kind of just comes down to the math. So this is in an OR2 district. The minimum lot area required for dwelling units in that zoning district is 550 square feet per unit. Okay. And
What do we have?
the minimum lot area requirement for efficiencies is 375 per unit. So at that point, you put those together, and then what you need for a minimum lot area for 13 dwelling units and 17 efficiencies by code is 13,250. That's 12 and a half times 550 and 17 times 375. What your property has is a total lot area of 7,480 square feet. So at that point, you are 43% below the minimum required lot area, and the board can only give a variance of up to 25%. So the amount of units that you're seeking is too many just under the code. The board doesn't have the authority to grant a 43% variance.
So we're thinking of, just in discussion, to reduce the number of units, to come down to 25 units possibly, which is, I think the planning board has, planning office has alluded to, that we could be within that range for the board to look at in paragraph under the discontinuing use. Third paragraph down on the second page.
What are you talking about now?
He's asking, go ahead.
Yeah. So here, planning suggested that we could be approved. The board could look at
Within
it.
the board's authority. Not approved.
Not approved.
Yes.
25 units instead of 29 or 30 units.
The,
Have that drawn up there.
if I may, hopefully I can give you some historical perspective here.
That's not it.
In 2012, when this property, without consolidation, it was 231 to 233 at that time. The variance that they were seeking was also over 40%. However, the prior use of this building was at 22 dwelling units.
Yes.
So they were actually reducing the impact from a non-complying situation with 22 dwelling units. And the board authorized a reduce to 15 dwellings and 4 efficiencies, which represented a reduction in the non-complying situation, but it was still over the 25%. So it was, that's how it was approved. It wasn't a variance per se, it was actually a reduction from a non-complying situation. Well, since then, I don't know what happened, but no permit was ever issued for that approval. And now they're back with an increased number that raises the variance from what the non-complying status was. But I wanted the board to be aware that when it was approved in 2012, it wasn't going from a complying situation to a non-complying situation. It was actually a reduction. And that's what the board based their approval on.
But that decision lapsed when no permit was pulled.
Yes.
And
Yeah, but I thought the
property's
board
since
should be
gone
aware
vacant.
of how they got to where it was approved back then. So now what planning was saying, I think, factored some of that into it. I'm not sure exactly what their, how they came up with the number of 20.
The current owners, if I may speak, the current owners acquired the property in February of this year.
Yes.
Yes.
In January.
The previous owners put it up for auction that had gone all the way almost to building, full building permits, but could not acquire the funds to do the construction. the current owners now bought this 231, 233, and then added 229 to it, and figured we could now, as consolidated, we could now put together a package that would be
32, even.
yeah, we could work within the neighborhood. Of course, I couldn't.
So what are you proposing now?
Well,
I really like your help, guys, and I like to continue. And I'm ready to complete this project in 3 to 4 months if I have all the
but-
approval.
So you've applied for 30 units, and then you've kind of ruminated about maybe you'd be happy with 25. And so I'm looking for something that you're actually proposing.
Well, the community is here, and we'd love to. We looked at that number as a number that we're still hoping that could be.
Okay.
I think I will be happy with 27, if it's okay.
All right. Sir, why don't you come up to the microphone?
Thank you. My name is Lou Linden. That's L-I-N-D-E-N. I'm a member of the Development Committee of the New Greenmount West Community Association, and I have been sent here by the Community Association to answer any questions you have. As you see from our letter, our calculation was that this project was entitled to 21 units under the zoning code. Obviously, Mr. French may be much more sophisticated in his calculation, but one of the major concerns that we have is simply density in that part of our neighborhood. It seems to us that if the board is going to grant a variance to increase the density, that there should be some sort of reason for that. There should be some compelling reason to go beyond what the code authorizes.
The board can't.
But only can to 25%. I understand that. The parking is definitely an issue. The spaces that they propose to use face on McAllister Street, which is actually an alley, which is below the accessibility requirements in the code. That's basically our position.
How wide is that alley?
I believe it's around 13.5.
Tax map doesn't give dimensions, unfortunately.
And when we met with the owner, the proposal. Yes. The proposals, there didn't seem to be a concrete number at the time. It sort of slid back and forth. I think perhaps one of the problems with developers self-financing a project like this is that there's no third party like a bank taking a look at it to see if indeed this really makes sense and this really works. And we did not have the capacity or the wherewithal really to make a judgment on that account. If we're going to have 30 apartments there, if you figure half of those people are going to have automobiles, immediately, we have a serious problem. But, simply the density itself, I think, is a question, and that was one of the reasons that the committee voted unanimously to oppose this application.
Thank you. Sir?
Good afternoon. My name is Lowell Larson. Larson is L-A-R-S-S-O-N. I, too, am a member of the New Greenmount West Community Association Development Committee. I am here to support what Lou Linden has said. I am in agreement with everything that he has said. I would simply add that we are aware that the board can permit a zoning variance up to 25%. You are not committed to approving a variance of up to 25%. And as Mr. Linden pointed out, the population density is significant in this part of the neighborhood, and to have a significant increase in dwelling units without parking, with just minimal parking, will create a problem.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Scott.
Well, it's at this point we are, we could definitely make some amendments to these plans and meet again with the community if that is amenable to them. And Isaac, he's suggesting 27 units. We can work somewhere in there.
Let me tell you, I mean,
Okay, maybe this would be useful.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. French.
Sir.
Would it be possible for the community planner for this zoning district to meet with the applicant and the, I guess maybe a representative of the community association to go over what's being proposed, the requirements under the zoning code, and really work on fleshing out what the number of units that can be put into this assemblage of properties. Would that be possible?
Yes, I would say, in fact, that should be encouraged, quite frankly.
Okay, so I'll suggest that because, as I've said, it seems to me that there's been, I still don't really have a sense as to what the number of units that's being proposed here is. And I think that there is, because of the mix of efficiencies and dwelling units, that really is going to affect the math here. And so we really need to have a good understanding of not just overall what number of units are being sought, but then what kind and then what number of each, so that we can figure out whether or not what's being proposed figures into the what's allowed by statute. So I'll suggest that the applicant postpone for today so that you can meet with the community planner who can go over with you what the requirements are under the code, and then work with you on coming up with the number of units overall, and more particularly the number of efficiencies versus dwelling units that's going to be in the project. And I urge you to have a representative of the community association there, so that hopefully when you come back, this won't be in a situation where you've got opposition. You'll have some agreement on a plan, to the extent that you're able to make one. They may not be willing to come to an agreement, which, who knows? But I certainly would hope that the dialogue would be, I guess by including the community association in the dialogue, that would be fruitful. Is that something that you're interested in?
I prefer, if they're gonna say number now, and we're gonna come in the middle, and I'm ready to fly with the project, I don't want to lose time. And every day it's cost money. I really like to jump to other projects. I bought here more than 18 properties, so I really have a lot to do.
And I can understand that, sir. Mm-hmm. And if you would like to have the board deliberate on this project today, we can. My sense, though, is that if you're looking for a positive outcome, going forward today may not be the thing to do. And I think it would be the reason why I'm suggesting that you postpone to meet with the community planner is that I think that she can give you, he or she can give you guidance as to what the code provisions are and what your mix of efficiencies to dwelling units can be, so that you have a project that is within the board's authority. And I'm suggesting that you include a representative of the community association to be a part of that dialogue, just so that you can avoid a situation where even if you go through that process with the community planner, that they may still be here to oppose you if they haven't been made a part of that dialogue between you and the planner to that point. Now, you certainly don't have to include them in that dialogue. I'm just suggesting it as really a means to try to shortcut any opposition that may be out there. But the choice is always yours as to how to proceed.
Thank you.
Okay, so are we going to postpone for today?
Yeah.
All right. All right.
When can we?
Mr. French, do you have the information on who the district planner is?
I don't, but I would ask him to call tomorrow morning and state the address of the property, and the receptionist will give you the name of the planner. We've just been reorganizing planning districts recently, and I just don't want to give you a name at this moment because I might give you the wrong name.
Okay. And which number should they call?
410-396-7526, PLAN. The last 4 digits spell out.
Mr. French, would it be possible for you to contact the community planner prior
Yes,
to?
I will let the community planner know to
appreciate
expect the call.
Thank you so much.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
She'll let you know.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good luck.
We have your number. We have your number.
Okay. 2016-271, 4500 York Road, Fazal Rahman.
Yes, sir.
Come on down. Okay. All right. Can you say your full name, sir?
Fazl Rahman.
Okay. All right. I got it right. All right. Mr. Rahman, we have this as an application to use the premises as an auto repair garage with automobile accessory sales and used car sales and car rental business. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. If you can raise your right hand and be sworn, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And do we have staff reports?
Yes. We have a letter from the Guilford Association. They write that the property owner had requested this association approve an expanded automotive use for 4500 York Road, allowing both used car sales, originally approved for this property, as well as general automotive repair, approved in 2015, and expanded the use to allow auto rentals and auto sales and service. Further, it is requested that the association support the expanded use under the zoning code of Baltimore City. On February 16, 2015, the association approved the general automotive use for the property with restrictions as attached. The property owner or tenant failed to obtain the required use and occupancy permit within the year and is therefore again appealing to the association and the board for approval of the general automotive use for the property plus the expanded use for car rental and accessory sales service. The Guilford Association supports the proposed expanded auto use for the property subject to all of the conditions stated in the association's approval letter of February 6, 2015, as amended on July 21st, 2016. Do we want to go over the list? or would simply be incorporated into the hearing?
Sure. Let's go over
Which-
it.
Okay. Okay. The commercial York Road property is within Guilford and is subject to the use and alteration restrictions of the Guilford deed agreement. The applicant proposes to change the activities on the site from used car sales and accessory sales and repairs to general auto repair that includes Maryland State inspection location. On 7/12/2016, the applicant requested that the approval be reissued because of failure to obtain use and occupancy permit, and in addition is requesting that the uses be expanded to allow car rental and accessory sales service. This site was approved by the Guilford Association as a location for auto sales previously and in 1930 as a service station. The existing building and related parking lot are approved for use as auto repair shop, including repair-related services, as a Maryland State inspection location, and auto rental and accessory sales and services within the following conditions. All auto service must be performed within the garage of the existing building. There can be no alteration of the existing building or parking lot without prior review and approval required by the Guilford deed and agreement. Any signage on the site must have prior written approval of the Guilford Architectural Committee, both as to size, location, and design of content. No signage can project above the wall of the existing building or be higher than the stone wall separating the site and the adjacent residential properties. The parking shall be maintained in an orderly appearance with no external storage of equipment or conduct of repair activities. The fence screening as required by the Guilford Architectural Committee must be provided and maintained along the Northway property frontage. There can be no parking related to this facility on Northway or any other Guilford residential streets. There can be no external noise that would disturb adjacent residential residents. No auto repair activities are to be conducted beyond normally accepted working hours or at any time on Sundays. The plan developed by the York Road Partnership for the York Road Corridor proposes enhanced landscaping screening at the Northway entrance to the residential area of Guilford. The Guilford Association supports those recommendations and will discuss the possibilities for accomplishing that in the future. General requirements: work may not begin until the association approval has been approved. All improvements and work must conform with the Guilford Association architectural guidelines. All improvements and work must match materials, detail, and character of original improvements. All improvement and work executed must conform to the approved drawings and description. Owner shall secure and comply with the requisite governmental requirements, permits, and authorizations. Once work has commenced, the work shall be completed in a good workmanlike, neat, and diligent manner. Does planning have a report?
Thank you. Planning Department reviewed this application. It was also provided at the last minute a copy of the letter which you just had portions read to you. The department's recommending approval of this appeal subject to these conditions in addition to the other conditions mentioned in that letter. There will be no parking, staging, or storing of vehicles on public rights-of-way. There will be no parking or storage of unlicensed vehicles on the property. All work must be performed indoors. All materials, parts, and equipment related to the use will be stored indoors. The area used for temporary storing of vehicles will be adequately screened by an opaque fence or wall. And if a dumpster is used to collect waste and trash related to the use, the dumpster will be placed either inside the existing building or within a masonry enclosure having a solid, lockable wooden gate. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Reman, do you agree to the conditions offered by the Planning Department?
I do.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about what you're proposing here?
So what we're proposing is, my tenant is here as well. We are looking to use the shop for a general auto repair shop, as well as use car lot, car rental, and accessory sales and service. One of the primary reasons for the multiple uses is the economic condition of the area. I've had some turnover with previous tenants. They were not successful with one use. As a result, I've been able to sign a lease with my current tenant, who is very experienced and who sees that we need to have multiple uses, and hopefully we can make this a business a successful one if we are able to obtain multiple uses.
Okay. Now, the current use is for used car sales, is that correct?
Current use allows for used car lot, I believe, accessory sales and service and car rental.
Okay. So what's there, right, well, I guess you had a tenant who was there previously.
Correct.
And they went out of business?
Pretty much. He left after a few months. He left, yes.
Okay, so there's no one who's in there now?
Well, it was vacant for about a week or so, and then I was able to find my tenant, and he's there now, but he's using it as a used car lot, accessory sales and rental, yes, and we obtained permit for that.
Okay, and so you're seeking to add the repair?
Correct.
Now, the repair would be as a accessory use?
Well, we're hoping to have it as a primary use.
Okay. Well, you can't have two principal uses. One has to be the primary use, and then you can have accessory use. And in order to be termed as accessory,
Excuse me. The auto repair is a conditional use, and the sales and rental is a permitted use. So you can have multiple uses, but if you're adding that to an existing conditional use, you need board approval as a change in the conditional use. So they don't necessarily have to be accessory in terms of the percentages of sales versus and extent and area, because they're basically permitted uses added to a conditional use. That's the way we processed it. I don't think we were considering it as an accessory use. Do you agree?
to use as auto repair garage with automobile accessory sales and used car sales and car rental businesses.
Yeah. Well, I know it's worded that way.
And they asked if that's what was being sought.
Yeah.
The answer was yes.
So,
Yeah, so can I say something?
Sure.
So we may not have worded it properly, but the goal is so we have that use, that's those uses available.
Mhm.
One shouldn't be accessory to the other. So let's say my tenant is there now. He signed a 2-year lease. For one reason or the other, he's not there. I find the next tenant who wants to use it as a just auto repair or just used car lot. I think it'd be more appropriate if we have available those uses.
Okay.
the
All right. And Mr. French, I can't remember if there was one of the conditions you were seeking site plan review at all?
We actually did not ask for that in this particular memo. This would be reviewed in the permit approval process in terms of whether the site was adequate by staff, by planning staff. It would not actually go to the full site plan review committee.
Okay. All right. So I think I saw somewhere in here you've got like 6 to 8 cars that are offered for sale. I mean, it's kind of a small lot as it is. And looking at the thought I just saw a picture that there are, yeah, there we go. Looks like there are 2 bays for the
Yes.
repair.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this shown on this picture here that we have, looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vehicles that are arranged in a U shape here on along the corner. And then that leaves this little strip here in front of the bays. So where would you have the waiting cars, that is the cars to be serviced, where would those be while the bays are occupied?
So the cars will be in the parking lot, front parking lot. Most of the cars that they plan to service are going to be Mini Cooper small cars. That's the target market they're going to target.
So when you say the front parking lot, you're talking
That's in
about-
front of the bays, yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. Because what I'm seeing here is that, so the planning department is saying that, they want to attach as a condition that all cars waiting for service, they all have to be on the lot, no cars on the street or sidewalk. I think they also wanted some screening here. So as I look at the picture, there are, if you've got, I think your letter said that you want to have 6 to 8 cars displayed for sales, okay? And in this picture here, I can see 6 cars arranged in a U, okay? That's gonna leave this space here available for, that is in front of the front fenders of these cars that are arranged in this picture. That's gonna be the available space for servicing. So I'm just wondering how many, like, how are you gonna get the cars in and out? Because obviously if cars are in the bays, those cars are gonna need to be backed out, put somewhere, and then your next cars are gonna go in. I'm just seeing this as kind of tight.
He would like to speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Maz Bobo. I'm the tenant.
Have you been sworn in yet?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I need to spell that too. First, just get your name real quick.
First name is Moaz, M-O-A-Z. Last name is B-U-L-B-U-L.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Bogle, you were gonna say?
Yes. So the idea there is actually with the lot is I will have 3 to 4, maximum 5 cars for sale. The strategy that we're following due to the limitation is that when customers come by and if the car is not available, I do my research. I have my team prepare the car and then go on and provide it to the customers. Now, in terms of the repair, also I've realized how this space is limited. So I put a strategy in there and I'm planning on following it, is that to schedule people in, so that I have 2 bays to work on cars. If any other cars that need to be in, we already have a calendar and schedule people coming in and out based on that. So instead of keeping cars overnight, which we wouldn't want to do that, I'll communicate that to the customer that this is your time period to bring in the car. If they come in for a diagnose or something like that, we can explain to them that they could come back at this time period. So if I have 3 to 4 cars for sale, this will allow me to, while working on a couple of cars, I also could switch a couple of cars and put them outside, make them ready for the customers to go out. So okay. I think if I maintain 3 to 4 for sale, just to make sure that there's available cars ready for sale to the community. In the same time, have another stream of income due to the cycle. For those who are in the auto industry, understand that the tax season might be a good time for. So not every month would be a good for car sale. So for me to be successful and to have a successful business in that community, I thought another stream of income would help me maintain that.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, 2016-272, 835 North Howard Street, Dallas Sanchez.
Mr. Chairman, he was here earlier. I'm not sure where he went at the present time.
Is this him
I
here?
think he's coming now.
Right there. I thought I heard it. Sorry about that.
It's okay. All right, sir, you are Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you can raise your right hand to be sworn, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Mr. Sanchez, we have this as an application to use the entire premises as an art gallery and tattoo parlor. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have staff reports?
Yes. Planning Department reviewed this application, notes this site is located within the Mount Vernon Historic District, in which all exterior changes to the property must have review and approval by the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation. The department is recommending that approval of this application be subject to the condition that all exterior changes to the existing structure related to the proposed use are completed in accordance with an authorization to proceed issued by the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Sanchez, do you agree to the conditions which have been offered by the Planning Department?
Let me just make sure I got it correct. It's just exterior, anything added to the exterior of the building? Yes, I agree.
Or changed.
Or changed. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Why don't you tell us about what you are proposing here?
Well, for starters, it's going to be an art gallery and a tattoo gallery also. What we intend on doing is doing something that, quite frankly, hasn't been done in the United States or in the world for that matter. I'm backed by several companies that I'm sponsored by that are on a world scale, and they're all interested in the project. And eventually down the line, what I intend on doing is becoming not just a pillar of the community, but becoming more acquainted with MICA Institute. And eventually down the line, we plan on working a program with them that involves tattooing and tattoo art.
Okay.
And it would help, obviously, to be in the area. But so we've already been talking about ideas with internships and programs. And then, of course, the art gallery. I travel a lot, not so much now. But for the last 5 years, that's pretty much what I did, is taught seminars everywhere around the world. And now I'm pretty much settling down and want to stay in Baltimore. So hence the move to find a place, secure it, and build a shop.
Okay. So I've got the floor plan here, and it's very helpful. Thanks for including it.
You're welcome.
So it looks like there's, I guess the first part here, we've got the sitting area. This is all on the first level of a sitting area, and then there's the first tattoo chair that's there. And then there's a second one that's behind it.
Right.
So, and then on the second floor, there's a third chair. Actually, it looks like there's a third and fourth chair.
Yes.
Okay. And so people presumably would be in this front sitting area waiting
Yes,
for their, okay, all right.
That's also where the gallery will be. It's a loft, so the walls go up 27 feet. So both of the walls we're going to be using as the art gallery within that seating area.
Okay. Okay, because from the picture, it didn't look, the walls didn't look that big.
Yeah, I didn't get
Just looked like a,
But, I mean, that was just a rough sketch to see what the layout or what it would look like the final. I
Mhm.
didn't put dimensions in there, no. But the wall is, you figure it's 2 stories, it's a wall, so it's more than 20 feet. It's actually 26.5 feet.
so the walls of the first floor go up 27 feet?
It's 26, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a loft. So again, it goes past the second floor. You understand what I mean? Like there's a loft built.
Yeah.
So obviously the walls that it shares juts all the way up.
Okay.
The open,
All right. So like
It's almost about this
above,
size. You're looking.
so above the front portion of the first floor, there is no second floor, at least over the front portion of it. Over the rear portion of it, there is a ceiling, and that is
Yes,
covered. That's the
yes.
second.
And like I said, the walls are roughly this height, if not slightly larger.
Okay. And what art are you going to be displaying?
We have realism projects coming in now and dot work. Those are our main focuses for the first couple months.
In the art gallery is already open?
Well, it's not open because I was waiting on the hearing. But as soon as I get approval, yes, we can move in there as soon as possible. And we have everything to furnish it also. We're just waiting on this.
Okay. And now I
Had
thought I
also-
saw something in here about modeling shows.
Yes, I was reading on the docket that said something about modeling shows. I don't know where it got misconstrued. But we will be doing photo shoots for certain 2 magazines that I work with for tattoo work. So
Okay.
would have tattoo models come in and would be taking shots of their work that's done at the shop. So when we say modeling, we're talking about the clients are being professionally shot by photographers.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is that everything? Yes, I think so. Okay, we're off the record.
How about deliberations on, that should be,
What?
deliberations on Remington?
What deliberations on Remington?
Yeah, I
Sure.
just want to make sure. I didn't know whether that goes on the record or not, or something forward.
Sure, so let's dispense with that. Have we had an opportunity to review the draft resolution for Remington Row?
Yes.
Yes.
Hold on. If I'm recording, my mics are not on anymore. Sorry. These things happen. It goes on.
Martin, you're just too helpful.
Ready to proceed?
Yep.
All right, so have we had an opportunity to review the proposed resolution for Remington Row?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, did we have any revisions?
No, I thought it
No.
was fine.
Okay. Mr. Barb's not here, so. All right, so there's no changes or anything like that that we need to make to it? It's fine as an expression of what the board decided?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then we can send this out. Yes, and now we're going through.
What do you want me to call that? Just Remington Row?
Deliberate.
Right.
No, we already deliberated.
Not deliberate.
Just approve the form of opinion,
Yeah.
form of resolution.
It's just so that we have the file correct.
Yeah.
We'll get the proper name for that.
Okay. All right, so turning to today's docket. Which ones do we want to discuss? It's almost like which ones don't we want to
Right,
discuss?
everything but the consent docket.
We'll start with 207.
Seemed like it was one of those days.
Yes, yes, it did.
Today is accessory use day.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with Jay. Let's start with 207. I actually was leaning towards approving that one.
I was not, and, you know, I think that the urban renewal plan was there to prevent really what they're seeking to do. I think that by determining this as an accessory quote-unquote use, they're trying to circumvent that. There's pretty strong community opposition to it. And that was the one where, no, yes, that was the next one, Pratt Street, where there was all the testimony about its vacancy. But so that's what it came down to for me. And then so far as the accessory nature of the use and sort of how that fits in the code. I kind of had a problem with that logic there, David, because it would seem to rob the code of definition insofar as where it talks about, where it lays out and says, these are the accessory uses in this district. If all they have to do is comply with just the general requirements of what is an accessory use, then it really renders that portion of the code to be sort of useless. Those were really my thoughts on it.
The accessory uses, like in the listed, how they're listed in the code, are specific identified accessory uses that are permitted by right.
Well, not by right. They're which ones that have to be approved?
Well, by R1. Accessory uses talks about things like antennas, satellite dishes, and they have specific conditions that they have to meet in order to become approvable as accessory. And then, but that doesn't apply.
You're saying that when it starts off and it says accessory uses include the following, you think you don't read that as an exhaustive list of
Right.
what is an available?
It doesn't restrict a non-conforming commercial use from having an accessory use that meets the definition. So that's where the zoning administrator's role comes in, where he looks at the definition and applies it to a specific situation. If it's subordinate in area and so forth. And if the zoning administrator is not comfortable with making that call, he'll deny it and send it to the board. That's how we get involved with these, for example, the tattoo, accessory tattoo shops. In districts that prohibit tattooing, become a review by the board to determine whether or not it meets that definition and fits in with the primary use, that kind of thing. And they're not listed at all in the code other than in the definition. when you get to the higher density residential districts, they allow for accessory shops in a high-rise apartment building with 50 or more apartments. You can get a commercial use as an accessory to the entire apartment building, where you have to have access from within the interior of the building, and there's other conditions that are built into the code. But all of those things are permitted if they meet those standards, and they don't need to come to the zoning board. So that's the only, that was the point I was trying to make. In general, the definition would apply
And that,
for a myriad of different accessory situations.
and that intuitively makes some sense. Then when you turn to like the 3/100s, and it goes through the use regulations, talks about permitted use, what's permitted use, and then talks about conditional uses, additional industrial uses, and talks about it, what's an accessory use. And then in 3/106, it says any use that is not expressly allowed in a district is prohibited.
Yeah,
So
that's for primary uses. The 3/100 is establishes it talks about 3/105 talks about accessory use that meets the criteria specified in 1/102, which is the definition of accessory uses. And then under 3/102, talks about a use that is named as a permitted use for the district only in specific where listed as permitted uses. That's for the list of permitted uses within a district, which does not necessarily include accessory, except when you go to the list of permitted uses, it often says accessory uses listed are permitted. I certainly agree that it's not written very well, but it's the way that it's been applied and administered since '71.
And, I can certainly see that. I think that there does need to be sort of an outer limit to it somewhere.
That's a good question.
And in this instance, I really see it as being offered as a way around the wording of the urban renewal plan, which would otherwise prohibit what they're seeking to do. And if we were looking at it as a conditional use, which is what it was originally sought for, it wouldn't have been able, that it would
Right.
not
Yeah,
be.
you have to do it. In my theory, you have to do it as an accessory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I agree, many packaged goods stores don't just sell packaged alcohol. They have all kinds of things that they sell. I don't know why they're even coming here for this unless they're trying to establish something other than your standard packaged goods store, which...
Well, I think that the reason why they came here is because they initially saw it as a conditional use. I think that's what the data sheet showed.
Are we talking about Gilmore?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not a conditional use, it's a non-conforming use
Yes.
that they want to
No,
add
that's
to.
what it, yes, that's what it was.
Clearly, if the,
Whoa, there's one thing I didn't pick up on. Was the case from '98? It was an application to use the first floor as a grocery store with packaged liquor sales. And it was approved with the conditions that the entire store would be used as a liquor store and not a grocery store.
Right.
Back in '98. Yes.
is that 98 or 97?
97, case number 97-350.
Yeah.
To me, that just convinces me more.
Well, that was when they were going from a tavern and wanted to become a packaged goods store.
Well, they wanted to become a grocery store and liquor store.
And then
then it was approved with the condition that the entire store would be used as a liquor store and not a grocery store.
And in the resolution, it specifically said, it should be noted that the appellant testified that the appeal had been amended to remove the grocery store from the application and simply use the first floor as a packaged good liquor store. So that was an amendment submitted by the applicant, probably when he saw that he was having issues. The board was having issues with that question.
Yeah, I guess I missed that myself. I guess I'm going to change my mind on that one.
But still,
David, though, I had envisioned something the way you had described it. I mean, if you go into a typical liquor store, you're going to find food.
Yeah.
You're going to find everything from potato chips to, a little heavier bunchies. To me, that's part and parcel of a liquor store, or if, they put a finer point on it, that's clear accessory use.
Yes.
And that's what I'm envisioning.
and I think, I can't speak for the applicant, but I think they're going a little beyond that with this request, especially with the...
Sounds that way.
They talked about it, prepared food, like they call it a deli, but who knows
Right.
what they really want.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I've talked myself into a 180.
All right.
But I was just trying to let the board know how we traditionally handled requests
with
for
it.
accessory uses versus...
And I know, my point was that we need to have some sort of an outer marker on how far we stretch
I'm
this.
fine with
All
that.
right, Pratt Street. I was a no. I think it's been vacant.
I was leaning towards no because of the abandonment.
I'm an abandoned as well.
I agree. I was a little confused because I thought there was a note or something as to the second floor office was approved as such, and the significance of that.
They had a permit issued, the last permit that was issued said second floor offices. And from talking with the applicant, they were saying the only thing they want is the first floor. So really, they're not even asking. I mean, they're just saying the second floor is already an office. But when you look at it, it evolved as part of the beauty school. Those
yes.
offices were part of that school.
Cool.
It wasn't a
Separate
right.
office space.
So that's a separate non-conforming use that may have been abandoned also.
Well, they said that the building owner
He
used it
still
for
used it.
their offices or what have you. But yeah, I think that as to the first floor, that's been abandoned, whether there's been continued use of the office. Well, I'll credit the testimony that the landlord is using it as their office, although, I mean, does that really count? if the office was used in conjunction with the beauty school, and the beauty school closed, and the office never had really established a separate independent use of that space as an office. It had always been in conjunction with the primary use being made on the first floor. Is the landlord's continued use of the second floor, is that enough to continue the office use, or did that go away because it depended on continued operation of the first floor? It would seem from even the explanation on the application that it would go away, because they say they use the first floor as convenience store in conjunction with existing office space on the second.
Yeah. I would,
An accessory office.
Yes.
on the, what we have on the record, I say it goes away unless he would have to come back with another application to
Use his,
Show that it's not
reference
accessory.
his use as an
Yeah.
independent office, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now the big question.
What, Berry Street? I was a yes.
Yeah, I was too. I thought we'd have some problems with the variance standards.
I didn't really see them.
Well, my problem, I didn't see them. But I like the project.
Yeah, I think that what is being proposed to be built, I think it covers the existing footprint, or the pre-existing footprint.
No, because the footprint was more towards one side, significantly more towards one side, if you discount the sheds and all the other stuff that was added on.
wait, you can't really discount them.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. is that
Yeah, okay.
They went to the property line on one side.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, they had a covered porch.
Porch. Yes.
I'm a yes anyway, so.
But really, the only variance is the side yard. The front has to maintain the average with the rest of the block, and I think
They said that they would be willing to do that. That was the only thing I was gonna put on it. But the reason why I didn't see the variance as an issue is because when I looked at it, it was like, well, the footprint, once you have the covered porch and the carport on the other side, it's the same dimensions, it's the same thing.
Taller.
Well, was it taller? I thought that they were gonna have.
It was
three-story.
That's
It was
what,
2.5.
that was
The original
the
was,
basis for most of the
but
Yeah.
tent.
everybody on that block could put a third floor on.
Yes.
Not that I'm advocating that, but
Okay. Frederick Avenue, 2016, that's 256. Clothing store with accessory tattoo parlor.
He postponed.
I thought they postponed.
Oh, that's
They're
right,
gonna
that's
meet
right. I knew that there was another one that had been postponed. All right,
Fate Avenue, 264, 44 foot
foot
tall
pergola.
I was okay with that, and I'll tell you why. That's the reason I asked that question. He has an existing roof line that's 8 feet above others, and everybody else could do what he did, and be within 35 feet. If he wants to do it, he's gonna be above 35. So I think there's some uniqueness to that building.
Okay, that's one.
Way of looking at it.
No, I was gonna say that's one of the elements in the hardship.
What's the hardship on Barry?
Well, I think it's that they'd be required to replace less than what was there as far as the occupied space. But here, I know that, I thought that among the permitted protrusions for height pergolas, and I thought, aren't like things like steeples and whatever this. Oh, I'm thinking of, is it a cupola or whatever those things are called? Yeah.
Those,
Yeah, they're round.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that those are permitted protrusions above, and here it's really, I mean, a pergola is just really a non-continuous roof that you hang things from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even the same as, you know, if you put a pop-up or mechanicals, it's not even like as obtrusive as that.
Yeah, you can see through it. I mean, that's the whole
Yes.
point of it.
Yeah, that's why I didn't really have an idea. That's why I didn't have opposition to it. Where's that one? You don't just have these things committed to memory? All right, well, I'm a yes.
Is there some, I mean, suppose the pergola was gonna be 5 feet higher than what he's proposed. Is there some height maximum here? That was the thing I struggled with is, you know, talking about outer limits, when we talked about earlier, about
Yes.
the case outer limits. So
Yes.
those guy came with a, you know, 15-foot high pergola.
Well,
At what point do you say?
a pergola is not a pergola? Well, I would think that there is a natural limit to that, just from the sort of the usefulness aspect of it. So if you're going to have hanging plants or anything like that, if you've got a 15-foot tall pergola, then you're not going to be able to hang anything from it. Well, I guess you could if you got a ladder.
Tall ladder.
Ceiling fan.
Yeah, but to me, the whole point behind that provision is really to establish a limit to where it's a living space above a certain height level, and you know, so long as you're not enclosing it, it's, and you know, even enclosing to the point of having a continuous roof, I'm fine with it, because I think that there's just a natural limit to what you would do with that kind of enclosure. I think that the code already recognizes a number of permitted protrusions above that, above the 35-foot limit. And frankly, I think that pergolas are along the same lines and in many respects less intrusive as those permitted protrusions. All right, the next one I had was Dallas Street, not Dallas Street, Howard Street.
I was okay with that.
Howard Street.
That was the tattoo
Yeah.
parlor.
I was
gallery.
okay with it.
My problem was it seemed to really stretch the concept of accessory. It's primarily, it's a tattoo parlor.
But that's it's B4, and tattoos are conditional.
Yeah.
Frankly, the bigger issue I had was more so, and I don't know how much this intersects, is the home modeling show aspect of it.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest we put some language into, to really reflect what the applicant said here, because modeling could go in a really bad direction.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's the only reason why I didn't have it on the consent docket.
Okay.
Is because of that. I wanted the applicant to explain it to the board so that it's on the record.
Yeah, I think if we just reflect what he put on the record, we'll be fine.
Okay.
Well, I guess first we can. All right. How about we prohibit any of the uses defined in 1106? That relates to adult entertainment business.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then just word the rest of it along the lines of what he was talking about. Maybe for photography of the tattoos that are being created.
Do we need to even, I mean, David, do we need to even say anything? I mean, about, the way he described it, I wouldn't think that would be something you'd need to have separate
No, I think
approval
it
for.
would be allowed as part of the business.
That would be, but then we would just want to talk about how do we ensure that going forward it stays that way.
And I think we could.
Because, you can just imagine a scenario when, okay, if it gets transferred from the current owner to another.
No, I agree with you with the adult language.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
adult entertainment. Yeah, put that in.
And I think if we just put in the resolution what he testified to, like live models showing examples of the and tattoos and
To be photographed.
and
Yes.
photography of it.
All right. Okay. Ready to run down the list?
Yep.
All right. 2016-207, 300 North Gilmore Street, I'm a no.
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 2016-212, 3432 South Hanover Street, I'm a yes.
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 Yes, I've got that. Planning with planning department conditions. 2016-242, 1500 through 02, West Pratt Street. I'm a no.
No.
No, agreed.
2016-254, 1700 Jackson Street was posting issue, no post. 2016-255, 620 Berry Street. I'm a yes.
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 And we also want to include the conditions.
Planning conditions.
Yeah, average, yeah.
Yes, maintain an average of the front setback, and also the conditions that were laid out in the councilwoman's letter. I think there were 3 of them with her. 2016-256, 4007 Frederick Avenue was postponed. 2016-259, 1100 through 34 East Belvedere Avenue was by consent. 2016-260, 32 East Preston Street was by consent with planning department conditions. 2016-261, 908 West Northern Parkway was by consent. And did you guys have conditions with that one? No? Okay. 2016-263, 3835 Keswick Road was by consent. 2016-264, 3324 Fate Avenue, I'm a yes.
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 2016-265, 38 South Potomac Street was by consent. Should also be revised to reflect that there's no first floor rear deck. 2016-266, 810 South Potomac Street was by consent. 2016-267, 2011 North Wheeler Street, I'm a yes.
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 2016-268, 229 through 233 East North Avenue was postponed. 2016-269, 3642 Bancroft Road was by consent. 2016-270, 124 through 32 East Trenton Street was postponed. 2016-271, 4500 York Road. I'm a yes.
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 And then there were planning department conditions that went along with that. You sure you don't want to send in a site plan review? It's just, it's a lot. Okay.
We'll get it.
All right.
Get
Okay.
it on permit review.
All right. 2016-272, 835 North Howard Street. I'm a no. I mean, I don't know. No, I'm a. Yeah. I'm a yes with the condition of prohibition against any of the uses laid out in 1106, and otherwise as testified to by the applicant.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah, and planning department conditions. 2016-275, 526 South Bolden Street was by consent, and 2016-283, 909 South Decker Street was by consent. Copy of her letter, by the way.
No, is it?
And it's a big one. I'll make sure I have a big lunch.
Not enough so that you're falling asleep, right?